Chapter 1682. The four corpses exposed Yi Qinghan's whereabouts. Dream Supremacy looked at the four corpses and said with certainty, "The one who killed the bounty hunters must be Yi Qinghan. Yan Yunbei is heavily injured and he killed the bounty hunters. The corpses must have external injuries, but these four didn't." The bounty department was furious and shouted, "This Yi Qinghan is too daring. He first challenged the order of hell and then killed us bounty hunters. He's courting death." Dream Supremacy thought for a moment and asked doubtfully, "Can I take a look at the corpses of the 10 bounty hunters?" The bounty department quickly brought the 10 corpses over. After some investigation, Dream Supremacy was almost certain that these people were killed by Yi Qinghan. "Draw out the path of these people and we can confirm Yi Qinghan's location," Dream Supremacy said seriously. Soon, the map of Blessed Buddha Temple's territory was brought to the table. A powerful existence in the bounty department drew a circle on 3 points and marked it. The last arrow was Old Liang's vacant inn. "Investigate this city, there must be some clues in this inn." Mu Zun, the head of the bounty department, said sternly, "Inform Blessed Buddha Temple to lock down this city for 30,000 miles. He can't have escaped far." Dream Supremacy said coldly. Time passed quickly. In less than half a day, news came from the city. Whether it was vacant inn or the city guards, the information they provided was about Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran. Zun Meng brought up the image and looked at Yi Qinghan's appearance. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he slammed the table and stood up. He said in a sharp voice, "This person is Yi Qinghan. His face must have been covered in poison, which is why there is such a change. Report. It's Bai Yuran, a third-generation disciple of Spirit Immortal Supremacy's 6th disciple of Spirit Maiden Sect. Report to Blessed Buddha Temple's 10 Great Immortal Buddhas and request to arrest Spirit Maiden Sect." Dream Supremacy ordered decisively. Mu Zun thought for a moment and ordered all the bounty hunters in Blessed Buddha Temple's territory to approach Spirit Maiden Sect. He also sent people to pressure Blessed Buddha Temple. The bounty hunters had lost more than 10 people this time. It had never been so humiliating. Back in the tavern, Elder Liang seemed to have sensed that something was wrong. He guessed that Yi Qinghan's identity as a wanted criminal had been exposed and that the Spirit Maiden Sect would be implicated. His figure flickered as he teleported away. His cultivation base must be ridiculously high. Sigh, what an ill-fated relationship. Elder Liang sighed and left the city, heading straight for the Spirit Maiden Sect. Half a month later, experts, adventurers, and bounty hunters roamed the Spirit Lady Sect, causing the members of the Spirit Lady Sect to be in a state of panic. Sect leader, Spirit Immortal Knight, a very beautiful middle-aged woman with a voluptuous body. She was even more feminine than Yi Qinghan, or rather, they weren't even on the same level. Her cultivation level was Sector Lord level 7, similar to Yi Qinghan, but her battle strength was definitely weaker than him. At that moment, Supremacy Spirit Immortal frowned slightly as he looked at the many elders and deacons in the hall. Most of them were female cultivators who were as beautiful as flowers. There were also some old women who had aged and had decent cultivation levels. They all looked worried. "Have you found out? Why are they pestering our disciples, allowing them to enter but not leave?" Supremacy Spirit Immortal asked seriously. "Sect leader, I heard it's because of Bai Yuran. He seems to be related to a fugitive." An old woman stepped forward and said, "A fugitive? Then there's no need to mobilize so many bounty hunters and experts to surround this place and not even allow us to enter. Our sect is an orthodox faction under Blessed Buddha Temple. Who gave them the guts?" Supremacy Spirit Immortal rebuked angrily. "What if that fugitive is Yi Qinghan?" Whoosh! A black shadow descended into the hall, so fast that even Supremacy Spirit Immortal couldn't react in time. "Old Liang." Supremacy Spirit Immortal was stunned and very surprised. He didn't expect that even he would rush over. He immediately felt that things were getting out of hand. "The Yi Qinghan you're talking about? Is it the Yi Qinghan who offended Hell and Blessed Buddha Temple? What does this have to do with that child Yuran? Her cultivation is only slightly higher, so it's impossible for her to have crossed paths with such an expert, right?" Supremacy Spirit Immortal asked with a frown. All of you are dismissed. Old Liang's face was stern as he waved his hand, indicating for everyone to leave. Everyone else looked at Supremacy Spirit Immortal. Seeing her nod in approval, they all left. Half a month ago, that silly girl Yuran brought a fugitive straight to Great Buddha City. At first, I only suspected that person's identity, but recently, there's been a lot of commotion. I'm basically certain that person is Yi Qinghan. Now, Yi Qinghan has not only offended Hell and Blessed Buddha Temple, but also the bounty hunters. Yuran has crossed paths with Yi Qinghan. Do you think those 3 factions will let you off? Old Liang reminded in a low voice. That evil creature! How dare he! Supremacy Spirit Immortal was furious. This was a matter of sect destruction, so she couldn't remain calm. It's too late to say anything else now. Spirit Immortal, this old man doesn't want the Spirit Maiden sect to be involved in this matter, so I had no choice but to come out. Can you see my feelings? Old Liang looked at Supremacy Spirit Immortal with a serious expression and anticipation. Supremacy Spirit Immortal's beautiful face blushed as she reprimanded, Old Liang, you're already so old. Why can't you see through the world of mortals? Old Liang's face darkened, and he said seriously, it's precisely because I've seen through the nature of the world and know that I can't cultivate to the eternal sovereign realm that I entered the world of mortals. I chose a good partner to spend the rest of my life with. Spirit Immortal, you're the only woman that has moved my heart. For you, I'm willing to offend Blessed Buddha Temple, Hell, and the bounty hunters, even if it means offending them. Alright. This isn't the time to talk about love. What do you think I should do? We're just a small sect, and we're all women. Can we participate in the battle of such large factions? Aren't they trying to force us to our deaths? Supremacy Spirit Immortal asked anxiously. Immediately announced that Bai Yuran betrayed the sect and stole the sect's sect-guarding divine technique. She's already been expelled from the sect and will never be allowed to enter the sect again. Furthermore, the Spirit Maiden sect must kill her on sight to take back the technique and draw a clear line with her. Then, with this old man personally overseeing the sect, the 3 factions should give some face, right? Old Liang immediately replied. Can't we explain to the 3 factions that Yuran was definitely deceived by Yi Qinghan and did such a foolish thing? If we all give up on Yuran, she'll definitely die. Supremacy Spirit Immortal was a bit reluctant to part with this beloved disciple. After all, after so many years, they finally had feelings for each other. Old Liang sighed and shook his head. Impossible. After so many years, don't you understand Blessed Buddha Temple? When you're no longer needed, you can give up at any time. At that time, don't mention protecting Yuran, even you won't be able to protect her. Sacrificing the rook to protect the general, Supremacy Spirit Immortal weighed the pros and cons and had to give up on Bai Yuran. He ordered Bai Yuran to be expelled from the sect and issued a warrant for her arrest. He also announced to the world that in 3 months, the Spirit Maiden sect's sect master, Supremacy Spirit Immortal, and Liang Zhengtai would be holding a dual cultivation ceremony. Liang Zhengtai, a very unfamiliar name. Most people wouldn't know it, but the upper echelons of various large factions knew Liang Zhengtai's name. Chapter 1683. Far away in the territory of the Great Buddha Palace, there were mountains and valleys. Yi Qinghan intercepted and killed 3 bounty hunters in a mountain range and obtained a wanted poster. Bai Yuran's eyes widened when she saw it. Master, I've been expelled from the sect? But I didn't steal any profound secret technique. Bai Yuran lost control on the spot and cried bitterly. The wanted poster in Yi Qinghan's hands was Bai Yuran's. Yi Qinghan shattered the arrest warrant and patted Bai Yuran's soft shoulder, comforting her in a low voice. I'm very sorry that I've implicated you. The Spirit Lady sect has issued an arrest warrant for you in order to protect themselves. As for the Spirit Lady sect, with old Liang around, nothing will happen. Bai Yuran sobbed softly and blamed herself. She asked uneasily, can Master Liang really protect our Spirit Lady sect? Yi Qinghan nodded and said with certainty, this person's cultivation is unfathomable. He's stronger than me and should be at the 9th layer of the World Overlord realm. As long as an eternal expert doesn't appear, no one can do anything to him. Since he loves your master, he will definitely protect the Spirit Lady sect. The other factions will also give him some face. Only then did Bai Yuran calm down. She put on makeup and carved a small array to change her appearance. That at this time, Yen Ao gathered the 9 sovereigns, the elders of the insane sect, and all the trustworthy experts to the sword sect. However, their life plates are still intact and they definitely haven't come out. They should have escaped. I'm worried that hell will implicate the 9 prefectures, so today, all the factions in the 9 prefectures will be dismissed. All of you will enter the eternal world and conceal your identities. When Boss Yi needs you, he will naturally think of a way to inform you. When Boss Yi isn't looking for you or I don't look for you, you must not look for me or Boss Yi. Yen Ao said solemnly to everyone. Understood. Gu Qingyu and the others nodded their heads resolutely. After entering Eternal World, one wrong move and all the forces in the 9 provinces could be wiped out by the official forces of this world. Yen Ao looked at the experts of the 9 prefectures, including the supreme gods and fake world lords. There were at least several tens of thousands of people gathered here. He took a deep breath and his deep voice reverberated like a bell. Everyone, you don't have to be Boss Ye's men, and you don't have to recognize me as the general of the Flame Dragon army. But you have to recognize that the blood flowing in your body is the blood of the 9 states. You can't betray the 9 states for a moment of glory and wealth. You can't betray the brothers who have fought side by side with you for so many years. Boom. Yen Ao thumped his chest and performed a military salute. His gaze was like lightning, incomparably sharp. Here. We live as people of the 9 regions, and we die as ghosts of the 9 regions. Whoosh. Everyone stood in unison and gave a Flame Dragon army salute at the same time. The 4 tigers of the Land of Despair, who were standing far away, were intimidated by the countless experts of the Crazy Sect and the Flame Dragon army. This was a true iron plate. With such dragons and phoenixes among men entering the outside world, there would definitely be many people who could set off a storm. Gu Qingyu, Lin Wuqian, Jiang Jingtian, Li Feng, Mo Li Di Long Tian, Desolate Lordi. Just the group of people from the Crazy Sect's inner sect alone numbered close to 40. They entered the holy light without hesitation and were constantly teleported away. There were some who didn't have enough willpower and couldn't be teleported away. But most of the supreme gods were teleported away. For a year, tens of thousands of people were teleported away. There was a gap in the powerful experts of the 9 provinces, but there was no chaos. In the end, Yen Ao left, and the 9 provinces quieted down. Yi Qinghan didn't know that the powerful experts of the 9 provinces had been dismissed. He also didn't know that Yen Ao's action had saved the entire 9 provinces. In the 5th year after Yen Ao dismissed the experts of the 9 provinces, they had already scattered into the Blessed Buddha Temple, Sky-Reaching Church, and other major territories. They were like a drop in the ocean, disappearing without a trace. But at this time, a person who had disappeared for many years appeared. Swanpatian. Swanpatian didn't go to the Blessed Buddha Temple. Instead, he joined the Bounty Hunter organization. After several efforts, he actually became an elder of the Bounty Hunter organization's headquarters in the Blessed Buddha Temple. He met Dream Sovereign and a powerful Buddha of the Blessed Buddha Temple. Everyone, this one is Swanpatian. I have fought with Yi Qinghan for several epochs. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to kill him. However, I know his weakness. I have at least 2 ways to capture him, as long as you all cooperate with me. Mu Zun, Dream Sovereign, and the great Buddha of the Blessed Buddha Temple looked at Swanpatian curiously. Mu Zun asked curiously, how do you think we can capture Yi Qinghan? If we can capture Yi Qinghan, this seat will promote you to a 7-star bounty hunter. You will be in charge of a large region's bounty hunter organization. That's right. My Blessed Buddha Temple will also reward you and confer you the title of Honorary Buddha. This old one will also owe you a favor. As long as you say it, I will definitely help you. The 2 experts of Hell and Blessed Buddha Temple also promised. Many thanks to the 3 venerables. Swanpatian smiled with a bit of evil. He then said seriously, Yi Qinghan came from 9 provinces. As long as we cooperate to break the seal of 9 provinces and capture all of his brothers and sisters, he will definitely appear. This is the first method. The second method? Mu Zun frowned and asked. Order the Spirit Lady sect to capture Yi Qinghan. This Liang Jingtai is very powerful. If he personally takes action, Yi Qinghan will definitely not be his match. Swan Padian smiled confidently. Dream Sovereign frowned and asked coldly, Liang Jingtai has already seen through life and death. His cultivation is unfathomable. On what basis do we order him to capture Yi Qinghan? Moreover, the Spirit Lady sect has already drawn a clear line with Bai Yuran and issued an arrest warrant. How can we make them take action? Everyone knows that the Spirit Lady sect's arrest warrant for Bai Yuran is only a temporary measure. They want to sacrifice the rook to save the king. In fact, they themselves know that they are responsible for this matter. Liang Jingtai also knows this, which is why he purposely formed a marriage alliance with Spiritual Immortal Sovereign in order to protect the Spirit Lady sect. Therefore, we will give the Spirit Lady sect 100 years to capture Bai Yuran and Yi Qinghan. This will give them a chance to draw a clear line with Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran. Otherwise, they will be guilty of the same crime. By giving them 100 years, we will be giving Liang Jingtai face and also threatening the Spirit Lady sect. I believe that Liang Jingtai will definitely take action to capture Yi Qinghan to protect the Spirit Lady sect. Swan Padian raised his eyebrows and said, Good method, we can execute it. If it doesn't work, we will capture people from 9 provinces and force Yi Qinghan to appear. I agree. Good. The 3 supreme experts nodded at the same time and prepared to use the second plan. The first plan was a backup plan. A month later, Dream Sovereign brought 10 supreme ghosts, Mu Sovereign brought 100 6-star bounty hunters, and 4 7-star bounty hunters. The Great Buddha of the Blessed Buddha Temple brought 18 arhats to the Spirit Lady sect and issued an ultimatum to capture Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran within 100 years to draw a clear line between them. With so many experts present, Liang Jingtai was helpless. Chapter 1684. In order to protect Spirit Maiden sect, Liang Jingtai had no choice but to join Yi Qinghan's camp. Now, there were enemies everywhere, making it difficult to move. At this time, Yi Qinghan did not even dare to enter the city with the disguised Bai Yuran. They could only walk in the wilderness. Bai Yuran was wanted, so her identity could no longer be used. It was even more impossible for her to use the teleportation formation in Great Buddha City. The two walked continuously for several years. They were weather-beaten and exhausted, looking like a villager and a village woman who had suffered hardships. On this day, the two passed by a relatively large village with several tens of thousands of households. It was like a small town, but there was a stone tablet at the entrance with the words 8 trigrams Yang Village carved on it. The village's roads extended in all directions. Looking from above, the entire village was arranged in an orderly manner, like a huge 8 trigrams diagram. All the roads led to the center, and the streets were filled with traffic. There were many adventurers and wanderers, as well as bounty hunters. The factions here were tangled and complicated, but no one dared to cause trouble here because the villagers were intrepid, and their strength could not be underestimated. Moreover, they were unusually united. All the natives in the village had the surname Yang, as if they came from a large family. Even the government rarely interfered here. As long as they handed over some offerings every year, Blessed Buddha Temple's people would not step in here. Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran supported each other like an old couple. The wind and frost had covered their unique temperaments. Even though the small array on their faces had been worn away by the passage of time, very few people could recognize them. Guests, welcome to stay in our inn. We are honest with all, and will deliver maps and information. Inns after inns were hung up with lanterns, shouting with all their might. Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran had spent all their faith money, but with the help of the divine bird, they had obtained countless divine treasures. They were in urgent need to exchange for some money. After a while, they saw some spirit treasures pavilions that specialized in collecting divine medicines and materials. Many adventurers came and went. Some shook their heads and sighed, while others were overjoyed. Let's go in and take a look. Yi Qinghan pulled Bai Yuran into a spirit treasures pavilion and saw that the shop had everything they needed. There were pills, divine weapons, secret techniques, and so on. Some adventurers and bounty hunters needed supplies and were buying divine medicines and weapons. There were also people selling what they had gained from their adventures over the years. At this moment, a young man who looked like a manservant came up to them and bowed. "Dear guests, do you want to buy or sell? Our shop has a 10,000-year reputation, and we absolutely do not cheat anyone." Bai Yuran took out his storage bag. This storage bag could only store items and not living things. All of the treasures he had obtained over the years were all placed here. "Husband, have they all been sold?" Bai Yuran's expression did not change. He had been using this title for many years so that no one would suspect him. Yi Qinghan nodded. The truly good things were all used by him or kept in his sea of consciousness. Those that were placed with Bai Yuran could be sold. After selling them, he could buy some pills to replenish his supplies. Bai Yuran said, "This little Dao friend, we have a lot of things to sell. Can you give us a private room? Or can you ask your manager to come out and talk to us?" The manservant looked at Bai Yuran and Yi Qinghan with disdain. What good things could they sell with such shabby appearances? They actually asked the manager to come over. "I can make the decision. If you have a lot of things, then come to the private room." The manservant impatiently turned around and brought the two to a room. Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran didn't get angry. They followed him into a private room. The room wasn't big and couldn't be considered a private room at all. It was just an ordinary room with a table and 5 or 6 chairs around it. "Take out the things. I want to see what good treasures you have," the manservant said proudly. Shwa. Bai Yuran first took out a dozen treasures. They were all level 13 rare divine medicines. They were necessary materials for refining the breaking world pill. They were worth at least 50 strands of faith money and were enough to refine a cauldron of pills. The total value was over 2,000 strands of faith money. The manservant sucked in a breath of cold air. He had heard and seen some of the materials before. They were all priceless treasures. He could not earn them even in a few decades or even 100 years. There were also some that were rich in celestial spiritual energy. They were of a higher level than the best divine medicines he had seen. "I'll go get the manager." The manservant's attitude took a 180-degree turn. He bowed and retreated. Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran sat down with smiles on their faces. They quietly waited for the manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Not long after, a middle-aged man dressed in green ran in and apologized profusely. "I'm sorry for my insolence. Please don't take offense. I'm Yang Chen, the manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. It's nice to meet you both." There's no need to be calculative with him. "Mr. Yang, my wife and I have cultivated for thousands of years. These treasures are all priceless. Please give me an estimate." Yi Qinghan pushed more than 10 spiritual medicines in front of Yang Chen. He said calmly, "As long as the price is fair, we still have some rare treasures for sale here. If you're not satisfied, we can change to another shop. I've been doing business for tens of thousands of years. I definitely don't cheat anyone. Don't worry, the price is definitely fair." Yang Chen stared at the items on the table and sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Soul-opening grass, enlightenment root, dragon flame godly medicine. They're all level 13 high-grade divine medicines. They're essential ingredients for various top-grade divine pills. Fellow Taoist, you're really good to be able to find so many divine medicines. They're priceless." "Give me an estimate," Yi Qinghan replied calmly. "Soul-opening grass, 60 strands of faith. Enlightenment root, the key to enlightening divine pets. It's worth 300 strands of faith. Dragon flame godly medicine, a pure yang divine medicine. It's the favorite of the fire element realm lord. There's a price but no market. The highest price in the market is 320 strands of faith." Yang Chen quickly separated more than 10 divine medicines and made a rough estimate. They were worth a total of 3,600 strands of faith. "Dear husband and wife, this is definitely the highest price in the market. You're sincere. We're doing business, so we naturally can't cheat our customers. So we'll give you 3,600 strands of faith. If you don't believe me, you can ask any other shop. Yang Chen said in a deep voice. 3,600 it is. We'll hand over the goods at the same time. Yi Qinghan looked at Yang Chen's excited gaze and knew that the price was close to the mark. He nodded and agreed. Sush. The manager waved his hand and took out 3,600 strands of faith. The entire room was filled with golden light and spiritual energy. Bai Yuran waved his hand and kept the money into his storage ring. He looked at Yi Qinghan, as if asking if the other herbs were sold here too. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. He couldn't be too shocking, otherwise it would attract other people's attention. He transmitted his voice. Take out 20 more ordinary divine medicines and sell them to them. Bai Yuran searched through the storage ring and found 20 level 11 and 12 divine medicines. They were all very ordinary, but their grades were good. Yang Chen gave them 300 strands of faith. Chapter 1685. After obtaining a total of 3,900 strands of faith money, Yi Qinghan and Bai Yuran left this supreme spirit treasure pavilion. There were about 20 to 30 spirit treasure pavilions like this. Yi Qinghan chose to sell a portion of each pavilion. Each time he sold a portion, he would get about 4,000 strands of faith money. This was a huge sum. He sold a total of 50,000 strands of faith money. This was all thanks to the divine bird's ability. With so much faith money, Yi Qinghan decided to buy pill recipes and concoct pills himself. After all, he was a fire element expert. Concocting a level 14 breaking barrier pill wouldn't be a problem. Moreover, the pills he concocted would definitely be of high quality. Money makes the world go round. Perhaps he could use another method to find Yan Yunbei. He might even be able to escape and avoid being wanted by the various factions. He could use his identity as a great god pill master to create a huge financial group. Yi Qinghan brought Bai Yuran to many spirit treasure pavilions and only bought pill recipes. The worst one was a level 12 pill recipe. Pill recipes were extremely expensive. They would easily cost up to 1,000 strands of faith money. Level 13 pill recipes would cost up to several thousand strands of faith money. Level 14 pill recipes would cost close to 10,000 strands of faith money. However, this price wasn't considered expensive for a great god pill master. One breaking barrier pill would cost about 30 strands of faith money. It depended on the grade. High-quality pills would cost 50 strands of faith money. Extreme quality pills could be sold for 100 strands of faith money. Moreover, there was no market for it. There were very few god pill masters who could concoct extreme quality pills. One extreme quality pill could allow a fake sector lord to have an 80% chance of entering the sector lord realm. For those below the 4th layer realm, one extreme quality pill could increase their strength by at least 10%. However, no one would be so extravagant as to rely on extreme quality pills to increase their strength. Yi Qinghan looked around and finally bought a Breaking Realm elixir recipe with 13,000 strands of faith money and a Soul Amassing elixir recipe with 15,000 strands of faith money. They were both level 14 elixirs that targeted the sector lords. One targeted the strength while the other targeted the soul. These two types of elixirs were the rarest, especially the Soul Amassing elixir. Once a sector lord's soul was injured, it would take at least a few hundred or even a few thousand years to recover. However, it was different with a Soul Amassing elixir. Therefore, the price of a Soul Amassing elixir was at least 50 strands of faith money. In the end, Yi Qinghan bought 10 boundary break pills and 2 decent Soul Amassing pills for 1,000 strands of faith money. Now, he only had 21,000 strands of faith money left. Money came quickly, but it went even faster. Bai Yuran was quite surprised. Yi Qinghan's fighting strength was definitely unrivaled in the same realm. He actually knew alchemy and smithing. What did this guy not know? Husband, you aren't joking, right? If we can't make pills after wasting so much money, wouldn't we suffer a huge loss? Bai Yuran reminded softly. Yi Qinghan smiled and said confidently, "Don't look down on me. The elixirs I make are at least high grade. It's normal for them to be top grade." Bai Yuran looked at Yi Qinghan suspiciously. However, seeing how confident he was, he allowed him to squander his money. What should we do now? Bai Yuran asked. Of course we buy the ingredients for the elixir recipe. First, make a few furnaces of elixirs. Once we are proficient in it, we can make a lot of elixirs. As long as we have money, we can buy them and send ourselves out of blessed Buddha temple's territory. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Immediately after, Yi Qinghan took Bai Yuran to walk around Yang village. Although they didn't buy the ingredients for soul amassing pill, they had more than enough ingredients for boundary break pill. With faith money and a lot of it, they naturally couldn't stay in an inn. Yi Qinghan found Yang village's village chief and bought a plot of land with 100 strands of faith money. It was about 1 mu in size. After all, the feng shui here was very good. Buying 1 mu of land with 100 strands of faith money was already not bad. Moreover, it was permanent. He even gave Yi Qinghan a legal identity as a villager of Yang village. Yang Jingtian was Yi Qinghan's name to the outside world. Bai Yuran also had another name, Yang Baisher. Yi Qinghan secretly bribed Yang village's village chief with 100 strands of faith money to befriend him. Money makes the world go round. Yi Qinghan's generosity made Yang village's village chief smile. He even took the initiative to announce that Yi Qinghan was his distant relative. Now that he had returned to his roots, everyone had to take care of him. With village chief Yang as a middleman, Yi Qinghan quickly stabilized his new identity. Yang village's village chief gathered a group of youths and adventurers to help Yi Qinghan build a house. Yi Qinghan didn't need to do anything personally because Yi Qinghan gave village chief Yang 1,000 strands of faith money. This was a huge sum, enough for a sector lord level 5 expert to work for 10,000 years and still not earn. Village chief Yang naturally wanted to satisfy Yi Qinghan. In 3 days, a huge courtyard house was built. It was rather imposing and faced the main road. In terms of transportation, there was a huge shop at the entrance. It was a place with good feng shui. Yi Qinghan invited many of the Yang family's villagers to a banquet, as well as some adventurers who helped set up more than 100 tables and spent hundreds of strands of money. However, Yi Qinghan didn't even frown, which made the Yang family's villagers very happy. Yi Qinghan and the gossipy Yang village chief sat at the main table. The village chief was an old man, but his complexion was ruddy. His aura was very strong and his cultivation had reached Sector Lord level 8. He had white hair and a youthful complexion. He was in high spirits and looked very dignified. Elders of the Yang village, this is Yang Jingtian, my distant nephew. He is a generous and hospitable person and is proficient in alchemy. What our Yang village lacks the most are alchemists. Now, our Yang village has grown a little stronger. Jingtian is a very sensible child and knows that the villagers' lives aren't easy. Hence, he promised to hand over 3,000 strands of faith every year. Everyone's faith money will be reduced by 50%. Village Chief Yang Chun said excitedly. Good. Brother Jingtian is so bold. What? It was because of this promise that the entire Yang village became lively. Everyone was overjoyed. Reducing faith money by 50% wasn't a small amount. Many thanks nephew Jing'an. Many thanks brother Jingtian. Everyone expressed their thanks. Yi Qinghan smiled, stood up, and said, Fellow villagers, I have been wandering outside for many years, and the pain of homesickness is even worse during festive occasions. Now that I have returned to my roots, I am indebted to the care of my fellow villagers, so how can I not do something for them? This small amount of money, don't worry about it. The Yang village was extremely excited. Even the adventurers outside felt that there was business to do. Yi Qinghan glanced around and cupped his fists. Fellow villagers, in the future, my God Pill Pavilion will be purchasing all sorts of God medicines. I'll have to trouble all of you. All the God medicines that the adventurers have worked hard to obtain will be bought at 10% above the market price. I'll let all of you get some profits. I won't sell God medicines but will distribute them to all of you at the same price for you to sell. The profits will definitely satisfy everyone. This promise not only showed goodwill to the Yang village villagers, it also resonated with the adventurers. 10% above the market price wasn't a small amount. After accumulating for many years, it would at least double their usual earnings. Chapter 1686. News of the establishment of the Divine Pill Pavilion quickly spread, even to some big cities. Adventurers left the big cities and chose to sell their treasures to the Yang family village. However, the Yang family village also announced that they would only buy grade 12 and above materials. They would not buy anything below grade 12. There weren't many grade 12 and above materials, but if more than half of the great Buddha temple's territory gathered together, the amount of materials they could buy would naturally be a terrifying number. Yi Qinghan did this to buy the hearts of the adventurers and make friends with powerful adventurers. Large amounts of materials were transported to the Divine Pill Pavilion. Bai Yuan was in charge of receiving, recording, and paying. Every transaction was recorded, and there was no debt. The Yang family village's villagers were also simple and did not buy on credit. They only bought what they had. Yi Qinghan's fire elemental origin power had already been cultivated to the stage of great success. Level 12 and level 13 elixirs didn't take up much of his energy. In just a few days, he had created more than 30,000 paramount elixirs and pseudo-world lord elixirs. Not a single one of these low-grade elixirs was defective. All of them were supreme grade. Occasionally, a few top-grade elixirs would come out as a pleasant surprise. The cost of these pills was about 1/10 of a strand of faith money, but because they were all top grade, the market price was 5 strands of faith money. Yi Qinghan sold them to the villagers for 2 strands of faith money, while the Yang family village sold them for 3 strands of faith money. If they sold them at retail, they would earn even more. Because of the good quality of the goods, it attracted a large number of merchants to cooperate. However, Yi Qinghan first asked the Yang family village's villagers to pick up the goods before the merchants. Moreover, the price of the goods was half a strand higher than the Yang family village's price. This made the Yang family village's villagers like Yi Qinghan even more. Adventurers could pick up goods from Yi Qinghan, and the price was not expensive. Even at retail, the price was only 3 strands of faith money. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100, and the Divine Pill Pavilion's reputation became more and more resounding. The fiery business made Bai Yuan so excited that he grinned. However, he could not handle it all by himself. In the end, he hired 10 large men and 3 beautiful women to help. Yi Qinghan sped up his alchemy, refining dozens of cauldrons of divine medicines at the same time. They were all level 13 and 12, so he didn't have to worry about spoiling them. He could concoct at least 1,000 cauldrons of pills a day, and each cauldron contained about 20 pills. This meant that he could produce at least 20,000 pills a day. His spiritual power was consumed very quickly, but after recovering, his spiritual power improved significantly. A month later, Yi Qinghan was refining more than 50,000 divine pills every day. Gradually, he had a stockpile. With some free time, Yi Qinghan began to think about how to refine the rank 14 soul-amassing pill and boundary-breaking pill. These 2 types of pills were the most expensive. They could easily refine dozens of strands of soul-amassing pill for a single pill. The best quality pills required over 100 strands of soul-amassing pill, or even 200 strands of soul-breaking pill. If he failed to refine a single batch of pills, he would lose over 1,000 strands of faith money. He could not afford to be careless. Yi Qinghan looked at the steps to refine the boundary-breaking pill a dozen times, memorizing them by heart. He repeated them 2 or 3 times in his mind before he started. Following the steps, he took out the best cauldron. He controlled the fire in his palms and heated up the cauldron. Then he placed the divine medicines into the cauldron and burned them. 3 lotus hearts, 1 spirit gathering grass. Yi Qinghan repeated the steps in his mind as he slowly placed the divine medicines around him into the cauldron. Burn for 1 incense stick's worth of time, and then, 6 hours later, the fragrance of the alchemy room in the backyard filled the air. The entrance of the shop was filled with adventurers and Yang family villagers. There were also some merchants whose eyes were sparkling. They could smell the fragrance and knew that today was the day Yi Qinghan was going to refine the rank 14 boundary-breaking pill. With such a strong fragrance, he must have succeeded. If there were some top-grade boundary-breaking pills, they would all be snatched up. In the alchemy room in the backyard, Yi Qinghan let out a breath of turbid air. He looked exhausted as he opened the cauldron. There were over 30 golden divine pellets that were round and smooth. The quality was excellent, and they were definitely top-grade boundary-breaking pills. After all, this cauldron of boundary-breaking pills had consumed 50% of Yi Qinghan's god power and 30% of his psyche energy. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out a boundary-breaking pill. He swallowed it, and his god power was rejuvenated. His exhausted soul spirit was recovering rapidly. This grade of divine pellet was even useful for Sector Lord Level 7 Pinnacle experts. It was obvious that it would be even more useful for experts below Level 7. Perfect! Yi Qinghan exclaimed. Gulp! The divine bird rushed out and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It said flatteringly, "Master, please reward your loyal divine bird." Yi Qinghan was very happy. He grinned and said, "No problem, I will give you 10. These are divine pellets worth 2,000 strands of faith energy." Gagaga, I knew that Master is the most handsome. This divine bird will remember this favor. Next time, I will find you some supreme divine pellets. The divine bird laughed wretchedly. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out a storage ring. He placed the 10 boundary-breaking pills inside and said seriously, "Even if you are a pig, after eating so many top-grade boundary-breaking pills, you should have entered the Sector Lord realm. If you still can't break through, don't say that I am abusing you. Don't worry, if I still can't break through, I will fly backwards in the future." The divine bird swore and promised with confidence. Yi Qinghan snorted. He waved his hand and took out another storage ring. He placed the rest of the pills inside and then began to refine the soul-amassing pill. This was one of the most difficult types of pills to refine. It had the best effect on the soul spirit. However, the price was too high. Top-grade soul-amassing pills were sold for 1,000 strands of faith energy. No one could afford to eat such divine pellets. As long as there was a godly flame, refining pills wasn't difficult for alchemists. A true great god alchemist was in existence at the pinnacle of the fire element. Moreover, they were people with abundant mental energy and exceptional soul spirits. Yi Qinghan had both advantages. The sky gradually brightened. The fragrance from the backyard filled the air. The people outside the door became even quieter. They were afraid that they would disturb Yi Qinghan and ruin the pills. They were all waiting quietly. Yi Qinghan opened the last batch of soul-amassing pills. His expression wasn't good, because after refining 3 batches of soul-amassing pills, there was only one top-grade soul-amassing pill. This was something he had refined one batch after another. He had spent so much mental energy and divine energy, but the harvest wasn't that good. How could he be happy? Where did I go wrong? Why is it so difficult to refine a top-grade soul-amassing pill? Yi Qinghan muttered. The sky was bright, and the red sun rose. Yi Qinghan swallowed 2 soul-amassing pills and put away the rest. He sat cross-legged on the ground and rested for half an hour. His tiredness was gone, and his face was rosy. He walked out of the backyard and looked at everyone's expectant eyes. He smiled bitterly. "I'm sorry. There were some level 14 breaking barrier pills, and the lowest grade was middle grade. However, there was only one top-grade soul-amassing pill. The rest were mostly middle grade. There were very few top-grade pills. I'm afraid everyone will be disappointed," Yi Qinghan said apologetically. Yang Chun's face was full of joy. This was the best news. Yi Qinghan's requirements were too high. "Ha, nephew, your request really makes me blush with shame. This is already very good. Many great alchemists can't do this. If you can do this, you can almost be ranked as a great alchemist," Yang Chun said happily. Yi Qinghan smiled and took out a pure gold soul-amassing pill. Its spiritual power was restrained, and just looking at it made people drool. He bowed and said, "Uncle, this is the only top-grade soul-amassing pill. It is my gift to you. Please accept it." Yang Chun was overjoyed, and his hands trembled. This was a top-grade soul-amassing pill. Even if you had money, you might not be able to buy it in a big city. Yi Qinghan actually gave it to him. Yang Chun was now wondering if this person was really his nephew. However, he really wanted to make friends with Yi Qinghan and treat him as one of his own. Yang Chun politely accepted the soul-amassing pill. Yi Qinghan looked at the many Yang family villagers and adventurers. Suddenly, his eyes darkened as he stared at an old man standing in the back. He couldn't help but take a step back. Chapter 1687. Yi Qinghan looked into the old man's deep eyes and immediately took a step back. However, he did not make any big movements and no one noticed anything amiss. "Everyone, the pills will be placed beside my beloved wife. There isn't much of it and we will distribute it according to the standards you use to collect the goods. Everyone will have a share. I will slowly increase the amount to satisfy everyone's needs." Yi Qinghan bowed slightly. He did not have the arrogance of a great god alchemist and was very low-key. Everyone who interacted with him liked him and even took the initiative to befriend him. Yi Qinghan exchanged a few words with the crowd and silently looked at the old man behind him. He signaled with his eyes and retreated to the backyard. In the backyard, Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and placed some spirit fruits and spirit herbs on the table. He slowly sat down and waited. "I've been looking for you for so many years. I didn't expect you to use a new identity to live here with that girl." The old man's voice was deep and full of dignity. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and said tiredly, "Old Master Liang, please sit. I'm tired of living like a fugitive. I didn't expect you to find this place." Liang Jingtai, Old Master Liang, the person who Yi Qinghan was afraid of, had found this place for the spiritual lady sect. "I didn't want to capture you. I don't care about a few tens of thousands of strands of money. However, I had to do it for the spiritual lady sect. Do you want to come with me or do you want me to capture you?" Old Master Liang sat down and stared at Yi Qinghan. "Do you think you can capture me?" Yi Qinghan held the cup in his hand and looked up at Old Master Liang as he asked faintly. "I should be able to. At the very least, I can capture that girl, Yuan. She implicated the spiritual lady sect for you and even became a wanted criminal herself. I don't misjudge people." "You won't give up on her," Old Master Liang said with certainty. Yi Qinghan sneered. After all these years, the array formation on his face had long since disappeared. His current appearance hadn't changed much from before, except that he looked a little more weathered, which made him look even more dignified. "Let me tell you two stories. Tens of thousands of years ago, I was still the clan leader of a small family. My cultivation was only at the martial ancestor realm. My enemy controlled my entire family in order to snatch an emperor-level cultivation technique and threaten my life. He used my brother's life to threaten me. In the end, I compromised. However, in the end, I couldn't change my fate. My entire family was wiped out and only 2 or 3 people survived." Yi Qinghan coldly looked at old Liang and spoke again. 10,000 years ago, before my cultivation had reached the realm lord level, I was chased by a thief. Out of desperation, I devoured the small domain that I had guarded my entire life. Trillions of living beings collapsed because of my will and were devoured by me. In the end, I won and he fled into the eternal world. He didn't even dare to meet me. The 9 provinces became peaceful and happy from then on. There were no more wars and people were finally people. This little story told me that sometimes, sacrificing a portion of people to make the majority happy is necessary. Of course, the people who were sacrificed hated me while the happy ones would believe in me. I have a clear conscience. Old Master, you are a person who has experienced many hardships. If it were you, what would you choose?" Yi Qinghan asked faintly. "However, this time, you don't have the chance to choose. I have to admit that your cultivation is indeed powerful and your battle strength is terrifying. You are a supreme king among those at the same level. However, I am not at the same level as you." Old Liang said coldly. "I don't want to make a move in front of that child Yuan. Surrender and I will give you a dignified death." Yi Qinghan stood up and turned his back to Elder Liang. He swallowed a few boundary-breaking pills, all of which were of the highest grade. He also swallowed 2 upper-grade soul-amassing pills. His enormous power was rapidly returning to him. His body shone with divine light, and his terrifying aura was rising. His face returned to its original appearance, but it was even more domineering and majestic. "Old master, give me a chance. I will also give you a chance. Bring the spirit maiden sect away from the mortal world. Even if you didn't see me today," Yi Qinghan said solemnly. Boom! Yi Qinghan didn't wait for old Liang's reply. He made a final breakthrough and directly rushed into the 8th level of the Realm Lord realm. In fact, he already had 80% of his strength and could break through to the 8th level of the Realm Lord realm. However, he had been suppressing it for the past few years so that he could get closer to the 8th level. Hua! The internal energy in the backyard was controlled to the extreme and didn't leak out at all. Only old Liang knew how terrifying Yi Qinghan was. He couldn't tell anyone else about it. The airflow swirled and the space-time distorted. It was as if many divine dragons were attached to Yi Qinghan. He slowly turned around and controlled the area with a wave of his hand. There was no fear in his deep eyes. There was only a strong battle intent. "Old master, I want to stay here and slowly fight with White Fairy. Sooner or later, I will become the Supreme Eternal. Don't force me. You can win against me, but you can't capture me. I also can't give up my life for someone else. If White Fairy dies because of me, Blessed Buddha Temple and the bounty hunters will all die with her. However, if she is killed by you or dies because of you, the Spirit Maiden sect will also be buried with her." Yi Qinghan's hoarse voice was filled with certainty. A strong killing intent enveloped old Liang. Back then, he might not have the ability to escape from old Liang. But now, he was 70% sure that he could escape. Old Liang's face had a trace of wrinkles. He rubbed his fingertips. Looking at Yi Qinghan's tyrannical aura, he knew that Yi Qinghan had improved a lot. Especially his spiritual energy, it had increased by at least 3 times. He was much stronger than ordinary Sector Lord Level 8 experts. Actually, I came here this time because someone asked me to pass a message to you." Old Liang sighed. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't know anyone else in Eternal World. He asked, "Who is it? What's the message?" Old Liang thought for a moment and said, "That person's cultivation isn't as high as yours. However, he is very familiar with you. His name is Swan Padian. He said that if you don't come back with me, the entire 9 states will be destroyed because of you." CSISI. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He was burning with rage. The killing intent in his eyes was dense to the extreme. He asked coldly, "What is his identity now?" "He is a 7-star bounty hunter. He is already one of the managers of the bounty hunter division," Old Liang said calmly. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. The air around him transformed into berserk blades. The cold light tore through the void. His black hair fluttered. His divine robes were cold. The yin-yang profound record transformed into a profound armor. The runes transformed into profound mysteries that enveloped his entire body. Old Liang's eyes twitched. He loosened his clenched fists. After a long time, he said to Yi Qinghan, "I have passed the message. Now, do you want to fight with me or come with me? You can decide for yourself." Yi Qinghan had dissolved all the pills in his body. His strength had recovered to its peak. Old Liang didn't interrupt him midway. Clearly, he was very confident in his own strength. Chapter 1688. Old Liang was confident that he could kill or even capture Yi Qinghan alive, while Yi Qinghan was confident that he could escape. Both of them were top-notch experts and could definitely sweep through a region. Once they fought, the mountains would crumble and the earth would crack. They might even attract the attention of an Eternal. The two quietly left the Yang family village. Even a top-notch expert like Yang Chun did not notice them. Outside the Yang family village, on the mountain peaks, the two looked at each other. Old Liang's gaze seemed calm, but there was an invisible power hidden within it that made people feel powerless. On the other hand, Yi Qinghan's gaze was deep and reserved, filled with a domineering power. He was like a god of war, invincible and invincible. "If we fight, the 8 trigrams Yang family village will be razed to the ground." Old Liang stared at Yi Qinghan without a trace of pity. "Even if this land is completely destroyed, I won't hesitate," Yi Qinghan coldly said. Old Liang's mouth twitched. He did not expect Yi Qinghan's state of mind to be like an eternal, seeing the world as ants. He was emotionless and without desires, yet he was loyal and righteous. This kind of person was the most frightening. They could give up anything, but they did not want to give up anything. They were greedy and ruthless, and their strength was terrifying. The consequences of offending him would be severe. I'll give you a chance. We will head to the Great Buddha City at the same time. There is a heavenly chant dojo in the Great Buddha City. There is a zither score in the dojo called the Quiet Sky Zither Score. If we get it and return here first, it will be considered our victory. If I win, you will return with me. If I lose, I will use other methods to protect the Spirit Lady sect. Yi Qinghan stared at old Liang. He knew that he was not his opponent, so he nodded in agreement. This old man is familiar with the route and will not let you suffer. I will give you a day's worth of travel. Old Liang confidently said. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. He stomped on the mountain peak and like an eagle spreading its wings, he jumped up and rushed to a distant mountain peak as if he was flying for a short distance. Swoosh, swoosh, swish, swish. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan disappeared into the wilderness. Old Liang looked at Yi Qinghan's disappearing figure and whispered, I'll give you one chance. If you dare to abandon that girl by Yuran and escape alone, I'll use all my strength to capture you. Yi Qinghan didn't want to escape. He just wanted to get the Quiet Sky Zither score. He couldn't escape alone. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan traversed through the wilderness alone. Occasionally, he would capture goshawks and other flying beasts as a means of transportation. He would speed through the air, but he did not approach human territory. However, the Great Buddha City was located at the center of the Great Buddha Temple's territory, so they had to enter human society sooner or later. On the sixth night, Yi Qinghan made a detour and entered human territory. However, he only went through the mountain village and took a detour. One day was enough for him to widen the distance between them. Yi Qinghan used his peak speed to travel day and night. Finally, after 3 months, he entered the center of the Great Buddha Temple. The Great Buddha City was right in front of him. It towered into the sky and radiated majesty. On the contrary, the guards at the city gate were much more relaxed. Not many wanted criminals dared to come here because the Great Buddha City was filled with experts. Even the guards were overseen by the supreme gods. All the major forces intertwined with each other. Many top forces had branches here. Some of them were existences that even the Great Buddha Temple didn't want to provoke. Everyone coexisted and benefited from each other. Yi Qinghan's aura was restrained. He was dressed in plain clothes. He hadn't shaved his beard all these years, making him look like a middle-aged man. Compared to his temperament in the past, he was thousands of miles away. In this manner, Yi Qinghan swaggered into the Great Buddha City. The city walls were majestic and towering, reaching up to 10 zhang high. The headquarters of all the major sects, forces, noble families, and mercenaries were located here. Even the bounty hunters were located here. They never imagined that the wanted criminal Yi Qinghan would take the initiative to walk right into their trap. One had to know that Yi Qinghan's bounty had reached 100,000 strands of faith money. Even an overlord would find it difficult to take out such a sum. Countless experts were looking for Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan walked towards the center of the city. The city was divided into 4 districts. The eastern district was where the Great Buddha Temple was located. The other 3 districts were occupied by other forces. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches as he scanned his surroundings. All the inns were as busy as a marketplace, and there were many people on the streets. Handsome men and beautiful women were walking side by side. Heavenly Chant Mansion, Yi Qinghan was aimlessly walking around, looking for his target. He didn't care about the outside world at all. Yi Qinghan heard all sorts of discussions. He listened to them one by one, listening to some useful information. Most of them were related to the arrest warrant. Chaotic voices filled Yi Qinghan's mind, causing him to feel distraught. Finally, he went to an inn. It was much quieter inside. Yi Qinghan found a quiet corner and leaned against the window. He ordered some food and spirit tea and gave the waiter a strand of faith money. He pretended to be calm and asked, "Little Dao friend, do you know which district the Heavenly Chant Mansion is in?" The waiter was stunned at first, but after receiving the money, he revealed a sly smile and whispered, "Esteemed master must be a foreigner. The 12 beauties of the heavens chant house are as beautiful as fairies. Rich people in the city like to go there to listen to music and have some fun. Esteemed master has asked the right person. The heavens chant house, also known as the Spring Night House, is a high-class brothel. If you don't have money or power, it's impossible to leave the heavens chant house without 300 to 500 strands of faith money. That's hundreds of years of income. Even an adventurer would have to spend several years there." Yi Qinghan raised his brows and asked again, "Can you introduce the 12 beauties of the heavenly chant mansion to me? This is my first time coming to the great Buddha city. If I go in without knowing anything, it will be a joke." "Hee, of the 12 beauties, 6 are from the human race and the other 6 are from other races. They are all from the rich and powerful clans. Little gold was sold here after falling from grace. Most of them are at the high level of the Sector Lord realm, and the weakest is at the 3rd layer. They are strong, beautiful, and have noble bloodlines. Who doesn't want to get close to them?" The waiter whispered, "Esteemed master, if you want to find the 12 beauties, you must not mention her sad story. Otherwise, you will be looking for trouble. Moreover, their price is easily 1,000 strands of faith money. Don't look for them if you can." Yi Qinghan nodded, indicating for the waiter to continue. The waiter got more and more excited as he spoke. He wiped his mouth and continued, "The number 1 beauty is the chief disciple of the Misty Cloud Immortal sect. She's from the human race and her cultivation is at the 7th level of the World Overlord realm. This little one was fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of her beauty. Her jade-like skin is enough to drive men crazy. However, the price of 30,000 strands of faith money per night is enough to cause countless people to shrink back in fear. Even now, I heard that she's still a virgin. Even if she comes out for a walk, it would cause a huge commotion. Many people enter the heaven chant in just to catch a glimpse of her beauty." Yi Qinghan leaned on the chair and looked indifferently at the waiter. Seeing how excited the waiter was, he personally poured a cup of tea for him and indicated for him to sit down. Chapter 1689. The waiter took a strand of faith money and was naturally excited. This was a month's worth of earnings. Such a salary was considered high since this was Great Buddha City. Yi Qinghan listened for an hour before he understood that Heaven Chant Mansion was a brothel. There were 4 arts: poetry, wine, sword, bow, and sword. The 12 beauties each had their own secret technique. Among them, the zither was the leader while the sword Dao was the last. The number 1 female disciple of the Cloud Dragon Immortal sect, Le Qingqing, Sector Lord Level 7. She was proficient in the zither Dao and had once killed a Sector Lord Level 7 pinnacle expert. That Sector Lord didn't even have the chance to resist before his soul sank into hell. No one dared to provoke such an expert. And the heavenly Guqin score that Liang Zhengtai had mentioned was in the hands of Le Qingqing. Wanting to take the score from her was as difficult as ascending to heaven. He could not steal it. If he wanted to snatch it, even Liang Zhengtai would not be able to leave the Heavens Chant Mansion alive. This was because the 12 beauties' 12 great paths were all top-notch existences. When they joined forces, as long as they did not appear in the eternal realm, they would be invincible. Furthermore, the Heavens Chant Mansion still had masters in charge, whose cultivation was not lower than Liang Zhengtai's. Old Liang sent me here to retrieve the Quiet Sky Zither score. I'm afraid he wants me to walk right into his trap. As long as my identity is exposed, the Heavenly Chant Mansion's people will naturally capture me. Then, the Heavenly Temple and the Infernal Realm will take over. He won't even need to do anything. He knew it was dangerous, but if he didn't take it, it would be equivalent to losing. He couldn't do such a thing. In this world, there's nothing I, Yi Qinghan, can't do. Just a woman, Yi Qinghan, can conquer her. The corners of Yi Qinghan's lips curled up as he clenched his fists. Summoning the waiter back, he booked a room and returned to his room to rest for a day. After adjusting his condition, he washed up and shaved his beard. His handsome face was enough to make countless women submit to him. Yi Qinghan had a new bamboo hat custom-made. Most of the people who entered the heavenly chant house would wear a bamboo hat. They were the upper echelons of the socialites and did not want others to know that they had entered a brothel. Even if it was a high-class brothel, it was still a brothel. Therefore, it was not uncommon to see people wearing bamboo hats in the city. No one dared to investigate them. The bounty hunters did not dare to investigate these people either. If they offended a big shot, they would not be able to survive even with the protection of the bounty hunter headquarters. At night, Yi Qinghan put on his bamboo hat and went straight to the Heavenly Chant building. The location of the Heavenly Chant Hall could be said to not belong to any of the 4 districts, because it was in the center, and the Heavenly Chant Hall could be reached directly from the 4 districts. In the great Buddha city at night, the sound of bells reverberated through the city, and the lights were dazzling. Behind the Heavenly Chant Mansion, there was a giant Buddha statue that was more than 100 meters tall. One could see it from afar. The Buddha's aura enveloped the entire great Buddha city, giving off a majestic aura. No one dared to cause trouble in the city. Wherever the Buddhist light shrouded, it was the domain of Buddha. Yi Qinghan walked forward while facing the Buddha's aura. His body emitted a faint Buddha's aura. His heart was as calm as water, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. At night, the streets were still bustling with activity. Brothels could be found everywhere. Countless lanterns were hung on both sides of the street, making it seem as if it was daytime. Men and women walked hand in hand, enjoying the beautiful scenery and buying divine treasures. Each of them carried a divine weapon on their back, and very few people walked empty-handed. Yi Qinghan's yin-yang profound record was hidden on his chest, and the divine bird was also hiding in his bosom. His thieving eyes shot out rays of light in all directions, and his saliva flowed freely. He wished that he could directly take away the great Buddha city because there were too many treasures. Yi Qinghan repeatedly warned them not to leave his bosom. The divine bird was too eye-catching, and anyone who saw it would know that he was Yi Qinghan. After all, the divine bird was also wanted. Half an hour later, Yi Qinghan arrived in front of the Heavenly Chant Mansion. The mansion was more than 90 meters tall, 10 meters taller than the great Buddha statue. This was to avoid the taboo of Buddha, otherwise, it would be a provocation to Buddha. Many floors of tall buildings were brightly lit. The space inside the grand hall was more than 1,000 mu. Countless beauties were in the hall for the guests to choose from. There were also some who didn't show their faces. The guests could order them, but the price was extremely high. Yi Qinghan, with a bamboo hat on his head, firmly stepped into the Heavenly Chant Mansion. There were many people wearing bamboo hats, so they didn't attract the attention of others. However, a brothel keeper of the Heavenly Chant Mansion came forward to greet him. "Oh, dear guest, do you want a private room? Which girl do you want to order?" The brothel keeper was a middle-aged woman, still charming and feminine. At her age, she had no choice but to retire and give up her position, because very few people would want these old women. They were all smart people, and they could tell at a glance who was rich, who was forthright, and who was just spending a little money to have fun. Therefore, the Heavenly Chant House would hire them to continue to stay and attract business for the newcomers. "I want a good private room." Yi Qinghan lowered his voice. It was very magnetic and made people's scalp tingle. The brothel keeper's eyes lit up. A man with such a voice was a dragon or phoenix among men. He had a high position, and he was wearing a bamboo hat. He must be rich and didn't want to show his face in public. She immediately smiled and led Yi Qinghan to a good private room on the 25th floor, overlooking half of the great Buddha city. "Esteemed Lord, let me introduce you to the most beautiful girls of our Heavenly Chant Mansion. Although they are not courtesans, the quality of service is absolutely top grade." The brothel keeper specially selected the Heavenly Chant girls who gave her the highest commission and introduced them to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan wasn't always looking for fun. He waved his hand and took out tens of thousands of strands of faith money, illuminating the whole room with golden light. He then said indifferently, "I want the most beautiful girl of the Heavenly Chant Mansion, zither girl Lu Qingqing." The brothel keeper sucked in a breath of cold air and almost fainted from the amount of faith money in front of her. It wasn't that no one had ever asked Lu Qingqing to accompany them. It was just to accompany them to eat, drink, and listened to a zither song. Looking at Yi Qinghan's momentum, it was clear that he wanted Li Qingqing's virginity. 100,000 strands of faith money was something that many people couldn't earn in their lifetime. Do you want to spend the night or listen to a song? The brothel keeper bowed and asked. It depends on my mood. Go and ask Fairy Li Qingqing to come, but don't make a fuss. Otherwise, humph, be careful of your life. Yi Qinghan coldly said. The brothel keeper trembled. She didn't need to guess to know that Yi Qinghan's background must be very terrifying. She didn't dare to offend him and quickly left the room. She went straight to the Heavenly Chant Mansion's heaven room, where the 12 courtesans resided. The opposite Earth room was where the Heaven Chant Mansion's mansion master lived. They would cultivate here when they had nothing to do and wouldn't go out. The Heaven room had 12 rooms. All of them had a soundproof barrier, but they all shared a common living room. At this moment, the 12 beauties were all chatting in the living room. Dong dong dong. The door of the Heaven room was knocked. They were most happy to hear this sound because they also liked to make money. Guess who will have business today? A stunning beauty wearing a white dress with a sword embroidered on her shoulder asked with a grin. Chapter 1690. Of course it's Sister Hua. She's weak and knows how to serve men. Her price is not bad either. She's the most popular one. I'm so jealous. Another beautiful lady with a bow embroidered on her shoulder said with a smile. A crisp voice echoed in the room. It was so soft that it could make one's bones go soft. These ladies were all innately seductive and could make men lose control. In an instant, the room was abuzz with discussions and chatter. This group of 12 lofty courtesans could only be seen from afar in the eyes of outsiders. However, in their room, they had a very good relationship and were very easygoing. It was not like what the outside world said, where the internal strife was relatively fierce. After all, they had the same status and origin, so naturally, they would stick together. A heavenly sound resounded in the hall of the sky room, making the 11 beauties tremble. They all looked at the breathtakingly beautiful lady sitting in the middle. Her legs were long and slender, and her entire thigh was exposed. Her breasts were high, and her face was like a work of the gods. It was perfect to the extreme without any flaws. There was a zither embroidered on her shoulder. She should be Yu Qingqing. Sisters, let's stop playing and open the door. Yu Qingqing's voice was like the sound of nature. Perhaps it was even better than the sound of a zither. With a smile, even women would submit. Heaven Flower was the most obedient. She stuck out her tongue and ran to open the door. Seeing that it was a brothel keeper, she guessed that she had another customer. She blushed and asked, Which sister are you inviting? Heaven Zither, Lord Yu Qingqing. Private room on the 25th floor. He's a big customer. Congratulations. The brothel keeper bowed and said, This. The 12 beauties were all dumbfounded. Even Yu Qingqing's eyes were wide open. She looked even more beautiful. He wants me to serve him? Yu Qingqing could not believe it. It was 100,000 faith money. No rich person would be willing to part with it. After all, this money could sustain a family for a long time and allow the family to produce many experts. Lord, he said, it depends on his mood. But this old servant can see that this person's cultivation is very high. He's probably a customer who doesn't lack money. The brothel keeper said excitedly. The 12 beauties immediately became excited. Even if they had to work for a long time, they could only earn 100,000 faith money. What does that person look like? Yu Qingqing suddenly became nervous. After all, she was still a virgin. Of course, she wanted to find a man to entrust her to. Perhaps she would feel better in her heart. Replying to the venerable lord, he was wearing a bamboo hat, so this old servant was unable to see his appearance clearly. The procuress quickly replied, Big sister, since he dares to pay so much money for you to serve him, he must be a loyal fan. I'm sure he will cherish you. You should hurry up and go. Don't make him unhappy and let the 100,000 strands of money slip past your shoulders. The beauties advised one after another. Yu Qingqing took a deep breath and hurriedly ran back to her boudoir to retrieve her zither. Carrying it on her back, she rushed up to the 25th floor. 100,000 strands. Yi Qinghan had spent a lot of money, but in order to avoid a direct confrontation with a terrifying existence like Old Liang, he had no choice but to spend money to avoid disaster. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was standing by the window, gazing at the great Buddhist city. The city was bustling at night, but who knew how many corpses and clans were buried under this bustling scene? Opening the window, Yi Qinghan welcomed the cold wind. The wind blew against the veil of his bamboo hat, making Yi Qinghan feel particularly awake. Thump, thump, thump. The knocking on the door was like hitting Yi Qinghan's heart. "Come in." A deep voice drifted away. The door was pushed open, and a fragrance assailed his nostrils. The sound of her heartbeat was particularly obvious. It was clear that this supreme zither expert was very nervous. She was willing to sell her body for 100,000 strands of money. Clearly, she was looking forward to what kind of man would buy her first time. It had to be said that the zither girl, Yu Qingqing, was not as good at serving people as the Heavens Chant girls. At this moment, she didn't know what to say. She stood awkwardly behind Yi Qinghan. "Close the door and play your best song for me." Yi Qinghan didn't turn around or glance at her. He only spoke coldly. Yu Qingqing was taken aback. She didn't expect this man to not be one of her suitors. Otherwise, his voice wouldn't be so cold. However, his voice was very pleasant to the ears. "Yes, dear guest." Yu Qingqing closed the door and removed the veil outside, revealing her fragrant shoulders. Half of her perfect body was covered, adding to her charm. Even a glance would cause blood to rush to their heads and make them dizzy. However, Yi Qinghan didn't turn his head to look at her. The sound of nature caused the world to change color. A vast power swayed into Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. It was as if the world was deathly still. Only the sound of the zither reverberated, lingering for a long time without dispersing. The sound of the zither drifted through the window and pierced through the clouds. The area 10,000 meters around the Heavens Chant mansion fell into a deathly silence. Yi Qinghan had forgotten to close the window, so the soundproof barrier was naturally ineffective. The Heavens Chant mansion fell into silence. The world also fell into silence. Countless men were immersed in the music, and women were dazed. The 11 beauties in the heaven room were also taken aback. Even the mansion master in the earth room suddenly opened his eyes. This kind of zither music shouldn't be heard by everyone. However, at this moment, the sound of the zither came to an abrupt end. This was because Yi Qinghan had casually closed the door and activated the soundproof barrier. Yi Qinghan didn't turn around because the rims of his eyes were red. A murky tear trickled down and was caught by his large hand in the air. This kind of guqin music made him think that Renhuang Yi was behind him for a moment. When he heard the guqin music, his cultivation level almost collapsed. It was because of this that he came to his senses and closed the window. However, the entire Heavens Chant mansion was in an uproar. Even if it was just a strand of the zither music, it still left a rich aftertaste. Unfortunately, it was only a strand of music. Yi Qinghan slowly turned around and looked at Yu Qingqing playing the zither. Her posture was graceful, and her entire person was immersed in the music. It was as if she was the zither and had fused with it. Her uncanny beauty caused him to tremble. She was indeed beautiful, so beautiful that it was suffocating. No wonder she was ranked as one of the 12 beauties. Yi Qinghan sat on a soft chair and looked down at Yu Qingqing playing the zither. There was no evil in his eyes. He stared at her without taking off the bamboo hat on his head. After a long time, the sound of the zither stopped. Yu Qingqing exhaled a turbid breath and looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly. She relied on her strength and face to make a living. She didn't need to speak because she wouldn't use words to please men like other women. "What's the name of this song?" Yi Qinghan asked. "Sir, it's the Zither of Quiet Sky. This is my best song. I hope you like it." Yu Qingqing stood up. She didn't dare to show the slightest bit of arrogance because she was here to please the customers. In essence, she was selling her body. She couldn't use her strength to suppress the customers. Even if the other party was a mortal, as long as they had money, she had to serve them. "How much is the zither music sold for?" Yi Qinghan went straight to the point and asked directly. Yu Qingqing was stunned. She quickly shook her head and said, "The zither of quiet sky contains profound divine abilities. It's related to the foundation of the Heavens Chant Mansion's survival. It's definitely not for sale." Yi Qinghan was helpless. This wasn't going to be easy. Chapter 1691. In the room, Lu Qingqing didn't understand Yi Qinghan. If it was any other man who spent so much money, he would have pounced on her. However, Yi Qinghan's mental fortitude was a little exaggerated. He didn't even look at her. It was like she was a corpse in front of him. Yi Qinghan sat in front of Lu Qingqing. His starry eyes were filled with invasiveness, piercing through the bamboo hat and looking at Lu Qingqing. Yu Qingqing couldn't help sucking in a deep breath when she saw those deep eyes through the bamboo hat. She had never seen such clear eyes before. A man who looked at her without the slightest desire had to be very young. For someone so young to have such a powerful cultivation base, it was definitely rare in the world. Adding on the fact that he could take out so much money at once, his identity was obvious. An eternal direct line descendant. Lu Qingqing swallowed a mouthful of saliva, not knowing what to say. If it were any other 11 flowers of heavenly songs who often served men, they would have already taken the initiative to serve Yi Qinghan to make him happy so that he could patronize her in the future. But she just sat there. "You don't look like a prostitute and you shouldn't be. You've humiliated the Zither Dao," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Lu Qingqing was silent for a moment and didn't reply. Instead, she was angry, very angry. This was even more humiliating than Yi Qinghan taking her body. "Stop criticizing me from the moral high ground. What do you know? I'm a Sector Lord Level 7 Pinnacle expert. I can slaughter Sector Lord Level 8 experts. Do you think I want to be ravaged by men? I used to be high and mighty too. However, I'm not you. With an eternal protecting me, who dares to provoke me? However, my family was destroyed in a single night. Countless lives are waiting for me to use money to save them." Lu Qingqing stared angrily at Yi Qinghan. She stood up and looked down at Yi Qinghan. She said crisply, "I don't have the eloquence of the other sisters and I don't know how to serve men. If you can take out 100,000, you will have to take my body. If you can't, then pay 10,000 and treat it as listening to a quiet sky zither song." Yi Qinghan's state of mind was exceptionally clear. Even if it wasn't an epiphany, his cultivation had clearly improved. 10,000 strands of money was definitely worth it. After all, he was Sector Lord Level 8. Just a bit of improvement would take thousands of years of hard work. Wah! 100,000 strands of faith money filled the room, illuminating the room. Lu Qingqing was also stunned speechless. She stared at Yi Qinghan, her body trembling slightly. Her voluptuous and perfect body was enough to make anyone drool. Yu Qingqing's godly power trembled slightly, shattering the thin gauze covering her body. A slender, white body that could drive anyone crazy appeared before Yi Qinghan. She lowered her blushing face, not daring to look at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took a look. Indeed, it was a perfect body that could make men go crazy. However, there were pursuers in front and tigers behind. He didn't even know if his brother was dead or alive. How could he indulge in her beauty? How could he face Yan Yunbei, who was heavily injured because of him? Yi Qinghan stood up and waved his hand to drape the clothes on the ground over Lu Qingqing's body. Lu Qingqing was stunned. She didn't expect that in front of her naked body, there would be someone who could be so calm. Even after paying so much money, he still didn't want to take a second look. "Once, I also had a wife. Her zither skills weren't as good as yours. Her beauty was also slightly inferior to yours. However, she was a pure land in my heart. She majored in Zither Dao. In the end, she died on the battlefield because of me. Therefore, I feel that you shouldn't give up your body for money. If I were to take your virginity because of this, it would be no different from insulting a dead wife." Yi Qinghan's voice was low and hoarse. It was very magnetic and carried a hint of sadness. He didn't say this intentionally for Lu Qingqing to hear. He just said it because he felt it. Lu Qingqing's nose turned sour. He was a top-notch expert. Indeed, he shouldn't sell his body for money. However, she lacked too much money. This was the fastest way because time was equivalent to life. If she stayed here, the other party might not take the lives of her clansmen. Thank you for respecting me. Lu Qingqing's heavenly voice echoed in the room. No, I respect my wife, that's all, Yi Qinghan firmly replied. In his heart, Emperor Yi was the one person he couldn't tolerate being insulted the most. Then, why are you paying so much money? Lu Qingqing wiped away a line of tears. She didn't know Yi Qinghan's goal. 100,000 strands of money. I want to take a look at the quiet sky zither score. My beloved wife loves the zither Dao. I want to take a look at the zither Dao supremacy's zither score, Yi Qinghan whispered. Lu Qingqing hesitated. It wasn't up to her to decide this matter. If the dojo master didn't say anything, who would dare to leak the 12 great divine arts? Although her strength was heaven-defying, she was still far from being able to compare to the Heaven's Chant Dojo's master. If she dared to break the rules, even if she was as beautiful as a fairy, the Heaven's Chant Dojo would still kill her as a warning to others. I won't betray you. Even if I see it, I won't leak it. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. I don't even know what you look like. How can I trust you? This matter is related to my life and the lives of my clansmen. Lu Qingqing didn't know why, but she felt that Yi Qinghan was trustworthy. Just based on his respect for his dead wife, he was able to restrain himself when a peerless beauty was placed in front of him. Perhaps he was the only man in the world who could do this. Yi Qinghan slowly stretched out his hand and took off the bamboo hat on his head. His vigorous and dignified handsome face appeared in front of Lu Qingqing. His starry eyes made people not dare to look straight at him. Zeng zeng zeng. Lu Qingqing was shocked by this handsome face and took several steps back. Her eyes were filled with horror and disbelief. Who didn't know a wanted criminal worth more than 100,000 strands of money? Who would have thought that he would come to the great Buddha city's Heaven's Chant Dojo and show his face to her? I trust you, so I'm willing to entrust my life to you. Those who cultivate the zither Dao should have a heart as calm as still water. They are the most perfect people in the world. Yi Qinghan stared at Lu Qingqing's face and said with certainty. Lu Qingqing's round little mouth was agape. She couldn't accept that the most powerful wanted criminal would trust her so much. Was it because she cultivated the zither Dao? There are many people who cultivate the zither Dao, Lu Qingqing reminded him in a deep voice. The appearance is born from the heart. To be able to cultivate the zither Dao to such a level and have such a pure zither sound, besides my beloved wife and a former senior, you are the third person I've seen who I trust based on intuition, Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. You're taking a risk. If there's even the slightest mistake, even if your strength is monstrous and you have a pair of wings, you won't be able to fly out of the great Buddha city. Lu Qingqing reminded him in horror. If I want to leave, unless an eternal expert or a half-step eternal expert comes in person, no one can stop me. Yi Qinghan replied proudly. May I ask, why are so many forces hunting you down at the same time? Lu Qingqing asked curiously. Because I tampered with the Order of Hell's riches and honor reincarnation pool and forced my beloved wife of 2 lifetimes into the riches and honor reincarnation pool and sent her to eternal world to be reincarnated. Therefore, Hell was the first to issue a warrant for her arrest. It was only because the great Buddha temple and the bounty hunters intervened that I killed her. Even death can't wipe out her crimes. I have a clear conscience. Yi Qinghan's eyes were devoid of desire or deceit as he stared straight at Lu Qingqing. Thank you, Sword of the Kuang Wuzhan, for becoming the 20th Alliance Chief. Also, I recommend my old book, One Hand Concealing Immortal. The author's ID was Ben Mukin. Chapter 1692. Lu Qingqing was stunned by Yi Qinghan's aura. She felt that a man like Yi Qinghan should be this arrogant. A man like him should go against those high and mighty factions. Humans were always rebellious. Lu Qingqing did not dare to offend them, but she hoped that someone would challenge the prestige of those super factions. Yi Qinghan had a domineering and arrogant nature in his bones. It was a woman's poison, a poison that could not be stopped. No matter how outstanding Lu Qingqing was, she could not resist it. Lu Qingqing's eyes were blurred by Yi Qinghan's stare and she was completely at a loss. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the situation. He raised Li Qingqing's chin and said domineeringly, "If you help me once, I will help you once. You can choose what you want. For example, I will help you eliminate your enemies. Since I have offended 3 eternal sovereign factions, it doesn't matter if there is one more or one less." Li Qingqing was stunned by Yi Qinghan's wild aura. Since when did a man talk to her like this? Which one of them wasn't flattering? Can I really? Can I also set my people free? My people are imprisoned by my enemies and they need me to pay for their lives. 10,000 strands of faith for one life. They are locked in the heaven-suppressing palace's prison and have seals placed on them. If you help me this time, I can give you the only music score and this body of mine will be yours. Worst comes to worst, I will just die. Li Qingqing looked at Yi Qinghan with determination in her eyes. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up into an evil smile that sent chills down one's spine. Yi Qinghan already knew that Li Qingqing was conquered. But he had no interest in taking Li Qingqing's life and there was no need for him to take away the only music score. He could just make a copy and it would not be any worse than the real one. Heaven-suppressing palace. I can't use the teleportation portal, it will be hard for me to get there in a short period of time. Yi Qinghan looked at Li Qingqing, hoping for her help. The heaven-suppressing palace is the strongest subsidiary power under the Sword Dao Great Eternal One's faction. Our Le clan used to be one of the superpowers under the Sword Dao Great Eternal One's faction. But our clan's fortunes fell and we had no Realm Lord level 9 experts. Our clan's assets were taken over by the heaven-suppressing palace and the 2 clans clashed. In the end, the 2 clans were suppressed. The Sword Dao Great Eternal One did not interfere because the Sword Dao Great Eternal One's Dugu clan accepted 300,000 strands of faith money from the heaven-suppressing palace annually. Li Qingqing explained softly and in the end she said, "The Sword Dao Great Eternal Expert's territory is connected to the Great Buddhist Temple's territory. I can send you to the Heaven-Suppressing Palace's territory. If you kill someone from the Heaven-Suppressing Palace, you can use the teleportation portal to reach the sacred ground of Taoism. Taoism is one of the strongest factions in the eternal world." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked down at the beauty in his arms. He slowly lowered his body and kissed Li Qingqing's cherry-red lips. His tongue forcefully pried open her teeth and coiled around her nipples, breaking down Li Qingqing's defenses and conquering her. His hands reached into her clothes and caressed her perfect body, causing Li Qingqing's body to soften. She quickly raised her hands to stop him. It was a purely instinctive action, but Yi Qinghan was an expert at this. His hands moved up and down her body, causing her to panic. She tried to block the bottom but failed to block the top and failed to block the bottom. She wished she had a few more arms. In the end, Li Qingqing gave in completely. She collapsed on the bed and allowed Yi Qinghan to do whatever he wanted. But what Yi Qinghan wanted was not her body but her heart. As long as he conquered her heart, she would not betray herself. After a long time, Li Qingqing's face was flushed red. There was a small stream below, but there was not even a single blade of grass. But it was a real white tiger. "Darling, take me." Li Qingqing's voice was muffled and she took the initiative to wrap her arms around Yi Qinghan's neck. But at this moment, Yi Qinghan stopped his advances and put on her clothes again. He smirked and said, "If I take you, no one else will want you. I don't have the ability to take you away now, so it's best if I don't. Otherwise, you'll be worthless. You're a virgin and you're worth 100,000 strands of money. Raise the price to 300,000 strands tomorrow and I'll make sure everyone in the world has the desire but not the money to take you." Li Qingqing's entire body was numb and weak from Yi Qinghan's actions. But Yi Qinghan stopped just like that and even gave such a lame reason. She was both angry and amused. But after thinking about it carefully, it was true. Once she lost her virginity, the price would definitely drop to 10,000 strands. Anyone could take her and they could not refuse. Seeing Yi Qinghan's evil face, she immediately laughed and lay in Yi Qinghan's arms in satisfaction. "Take out the zither score. I'll make a copy," Yi Qinghan said gently. Her heart already belonged to Yi Qinghan. Li Qingqing did not hesitate. This man was the only one she could entrust herself to in this world. So she handed over the zither score. Even if Yi Qinghan wanted to take it away right now, she would not refuse. The zither score was hard to understand. It contained supreme divine arts and profoundness. Countless runes flowed in all directions, shaking the order in the room. Yi Qinghan's divine sense entered the clear sky zither score. He knew that this was a sector overlord level 9 divine art. Ordinary people would not be able to copy it. The moment their divine sense touched the score, they would be severely injured. But he was a great god pill refiner. His soul spirit was extremely strong. Although he was not as strong as a true sector overlord level 9 expert, he could still copy this zither score. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged in front of the table and copied with his brush. Every stroke seemed to be in control of the zither Dao. In addition, Lu Qingqing took the initiative to help him harmonize with her soul spirit. She also grasped the zither score to the peak of the 7th level, making it easier for him to copy. In a night's time, Yi Qinghan copied all the way to the 8th level. He stayed there until noon. Yi Qinghan copied the entire zither score and hid it in his arms. He instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Qinghan, I believe that you are one of a kind in this world. You will not let me down or lie to me. Lu Qingqing said softly as she laid in Yi Qinghan's arms. Within 3 years, including the heaven-suppressing prefecture's strongest expert, the prefecture lord level 8 pinnacle realm lord, everyone will be dead. Yi Qinghan said confidently. Don't take the risk. The heaven-suppressing prefecture's prefecture lord, heaven-suppressing supreme god, is a true sector lord level 8 pinnacle expert. His battle power can definitely suppress me and I won't even have the chance to attack. Lu Qingqing was very worried about Yi Qinghan even though he was also a sector lord level 8 existence. Yi Qinghan smiled and said confidently, if I want to kill you, you won't even have a chance to retaliate. In the same level, he is definitely not my match. The two chatted for a while and Lu Qingqing told him about heaven-suppressing supreme god's strongest secret technique. In the end, Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the bed and swallowed 2 soul-amassing pellets and a piece of red plant flesh. His soul spirit was pushed to the peak of sector overlord level 8. However, his divine power was still at the early level of sector overlord level 8. Yi Qinghan felt refreshed. He stood up and opened the window to take a look. Then, he looked at the entrance of Heaven Chant Mansion and was stunned. His expression changed drastically and he shouted angrily, Old Liang, you betrayed me. At the entrance stood Dream Supremacy, the 10 supreme ghostly deities, a powerful Buddha from the great Buddhist temple, and some powerful bounty hunters. All of them were here for Yi Qinghan. Chapter 1693. The Bounty Hunter Branch Leader, Mu Zun, the 4 7 Stars Hunters, Swan Patin, Infernal Dream Supreme, the 10 Supreme Ghostly Gods, the Great Buddha Temple's Burning Fire Grand Buddha, and the 18 Arhats were all experts among experts. Any one of them would be a tyrant of an area, but now, all of them were here. Liang Zhengtai didn't appear. Yi Qinghan looked downstairs, his gaze as cold as lightning. He slowly closed the window. With this group of people appearing together, trying to break out of their clutches was simply wishful thinking. Yu Qingqing noticed that Yi Qinghan's expression was very ugly. She quickly got up and looked out the window. As the zither girl of the heavenly chant women, it was impossible for her not to recognize such terrifying existences. With such existences working together, not to mention Yi Qinghan, even the owner of the heavenly chant dojo would not be able to survive. What should we do now? Yu Qingqing asked in a panic. Don't worry. They did not rush in, which means that they are not sure that I am inside. It is not good to directly attack the Heavenly Chant Dojo. Let's see how the Heavenly Chant Dojo will handle this. However, we cannot stay in this room. Can we go to your room? Yi Qinghan stared at Yu Qingqing and asked. Yu Qingqing thought for a moment and nodded firmly. My sisters can be trusted. I will take you there. Yi Qinghan put on his bamboo hat and ran with Yu Qingqing to the heavenly room on the 20th floor. There were only 7 people in the room. The others seemed to have guests. Chess, calligraphy, painting, poetry, wine, flower, and tea, the 7 beauties were all here. Yu Qingqing led Yi Qinghan into the heavenly room. The 7 beauties were shocked and did not understand what Yu Qingqing was doing. Yu Qingqing quickly closed the door and said to the 7 sisters, "Sisters, can you let him hide here? Sister will be very grateful." "What's wrong? Who is this person? Could it be that last night?" Poetry Immortal looked at Yi Qinghan in shock and asked in confusion. Yu Qingqing couldn't care less about her shyness. She nodded repeatedly and said, "He's a good person. Let's help him. I'm afraid that someone will ask about it later. You must say that I came back last night, and the person who was looking for me left at night, okay? We're all sisters. If we don't help each other, who will help us? Let's hide here," the others said. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and said, "Many thanks, fellow Taoists. I will definitely repay this kindness in the future. Quick, let's go to my room." Lu Qingqing pulled Yi Qinghan towards her room. "No, big sister, you're silly. Since the other party knows that he's here to look for you, if they can persuade the dojo master, they definitely have the ability to search your room. It's not safe to hide him in your room. Put him in my room." At this moment, the chess saint Gu Yunyun quickly suggested. Yi Qinghan quickly nodded. Dream Supremacy and his group would definitely persuade the dojo master to let them search. It was indeed not safe to stay in Lu Qingqing's room. The chess saint Gu Yunyun was very beautiful, and her eyes were very kind. She quickly led Yi Qinghan into her room and let him hide in a secret compartment. She put her finger on her lips and said seriously, "Don't make a sound." Yi Qinghan nodded gratefully and closed the secret compartment. However, he left a trace of his divine sense outside. In the hall, the 7 beauties were chattering and discussing. They all wanted to find out about Yi Qinghan's identity. However, Lu Qingqing was very nervous. She was afraid that someone else would hear them. She said, "You'll know very soon. Don't leak it out later. Otherwise, there will be a huge fight today." The 7 beauties then quieted down. They pretended that nothing had happened and chatted in the hall. In the hall downstairs of the Heaven Chant Mansion, it was impossible for the dojo master not to know that so many experts had gathered. At this moment, she was already standing outside the door. Looking at the many experts, she frowned and asked, "Fellow Taoists, this is the Heaven Chant Mansion. So many of you came here to have fun, right?" "Dojo Master Zhang, I'm Dream Supremacy of Hell. I'm here on the orders of the Lord of Hell to arrest a criminal. As far as I know, he's in the Heaven Chant Mansion. If Dojo Master Zhang is willing to close the mansion and cooperate with this old one's investigation, we'll compensate you double your losses." Dream Supremacy said in a deep voice. The Heaven Chant Mansion's dojo master was a middle-aged woman. She was very beautiful and had a moving temperament. In terms of temperament and charm, she was better than the 12 beauties. Most importantly, her cultivation was ridiculously strong. Even when Dream Supremacy, Mu Supremacy, and Great Buddha Ranmi came with so many experts, her expression did not change. Few people could have such boldness, let alone a woman. Her name was Zhang Yingshi. She had been apprenticed to tens of thousands of people. Along the way, she had suffered more hardships than an ascetic monk. Finally, she caught the attention of the Heaven Chant Mansion's dojo master, an eternal one, and was accepted as a nominal disciple. Since then, her cultivation had advanced rapidly. Zhang Yingshi obviously did not like petty profits. Instead, she cared about the reputation of the Heaven Chant Mansion. At this moment, she was expressionless and said in a cold voice, "Are you talking about Yi Qinghan? Our mansion only recognizes money, not identity, so we don't know whether he's here or not. Even if he's here, we can't let you search. Otherwise, will some people in this mansion, who can't reveal their identity, come to the Heaven Chant Mansion in the future? Can you afford to pay for this loss? Even if you can, how can you compensate for the reputation of the Heaven Chant Mansion?" Buddha Ranmi put his palms together and said in a deep voice, "Amitabha." According to the information obtained by this old monk, Yi Qinghan came to look for the heavenly chant woman, Lu Qingqing. Last night, Lu Qingqing should have been visited. You should know about such an important matter. Please give Ranmi some face and keep it in mind. Zhang Yingshi was shocked. She did not expect Lu Qingqing to have a connection with Yi Qinghan. However, after thinking about it carefully, This was impossible because the two had never met or interacted with each other. How could this matter be related to the Heavenchant Mansion? Dojo Master Zhang, don't misunderstand. Yi Qinghan, this thief, has nothing to do with the Heavenchant Mansion. He also has nothing to do with the zither woman, Li Qingqing. He came to steal the Quiet Sky zither score. At this moment, Swan Putin quietly stepped forward with an evil smile on his face. It seemed that stealing the zither score was his plan. He wanted Yi Qinghan to walk right into his trap. What? Zhang Yingshi was furious. Her aura soared as she controlled a domain. She said to Dream Supremacy, Mu Supremacy, and Buddha Ranmi, 3 fellow Taoists, please follow me. The others will guard the periphery. Zhang Yingshi's aura soared as she stepped into the hall and said to everyone, temporarily seal the mansion. You can only enter but not leave. After this old woman has investigated this matter, I will give everyone an explanation. Today, all drinks will be on the house and everything will be 50% off. Everyone was overjoyed. They did not care about sealing the mansion. Instead, they were waiting for a good show. So many masters have gathered here. Even Lord Dream's supremacy has appeared. Could it be that they have found the whereabouts of the wanted criminal, Yi Qinghan? No way, right? He dares to walk right into the trap and run towards the great Buddha city? Everyone was talking about it. Some did not believe it. However, more than 20 people were guarding the gate. They were not here to have fun. They were definitely here to capture a wanted criminal. Ordinary wanted criminals could not attract so many masters. One was enough. The murderous aura spread in all directions. The central area of the great Buddha city fell into a state of chaos. Chapter 1694. The 4 top experts worked together to reach the 25th floor. On the 20th floor, Muzun stayed at the door of the heaven room. The other 3 rushed to the 25th floor and pushed open the door. Yi Qinghan was nowhere to be seen, and Li Qingqing was naturally not there either. To the heaven room. That person shouldn't have left. Zhang Yingshi was extremely anxious. The Quiet Sky zither score was a secret technique personally bestowed by the Eternal Sovereign. It could not be wrong. The 3 quickly retreated to the 20th floor and forced open the heaven room. The 8 top beauties pretended to be calm and looked at the 4 in confusion. There was some shock in their eyes. Apart from Club Master Zhang, the 3 top existences had joined forces. Their target was almost obvious. Yi Qinghan, the fugitive that alarmed the 3 major factions. He was actually hiding in this heaven room. He was a fugitive worth 100,000 strands of wealth. Zhang Yingshi's face was heavy as he asked, "Where's the Quiet Sky zither score? Take it out." Li Qingqing quickly took out the Quiet Sky zither score and bowed to offer it. Zhang Yingshi took back the Quiet Sky zither score and carefully looked through it. He then asked, "Where's the person who called you last night? Hand him over." "He left in the middle of the night," Li Qingqing said firmly. Dream Zun glanced at the crowd. She had seen many people. Seeing the expressions of the 8 beauties, she knew that Yi Qinghan definitely did not escape. Moreover, she had sent people to watch him last night. It was impossible for Yi Qinghan to leave. The 8 beauties had no experience in the Jianghu after all. Dream Zun was experienced. At this moment, she was sure that Yi Qinghan was still in the Heaven Song Dojo. She said to Zhang Yingshi, "Club Master Zhang, you don't want a person who stole the Quiet Sky zither score to stay in the dojo. Can you let this old one search?" Zhang Yingshi stared at Li Qingqing's face and knew that there was a problem from her expression. He nodded and said, "Qingqing, I'll give you a chance. Hand him over." Dojo master, he really left. He only had 10,000 strands of money. After listening to the heavenly zither melody, he left the money behind and left. "I'm still a virgin, can't you tell?" Yu Qingqing pretended to be calm and said. Zhang Yingshi frowned as he looked at Li Qingqing. When he realized that she really was Li Qingqing, he looked at the other women and realized that they were all lowering their heads. He knew that they were also involved in this matter and felt a little angry. "Let's search." When Dream Zun heard this, he was overjoyed. He asked for Li Qingqing's room and walked over. He searched carefully, but he didn't find anything. He went to the other rooms. Halfway through, Buddha Zenmi and Mu Zun saw the 8 beauties' faces change. They couldn't help but laugh. Yi Qinghan is in the room. He's a wanted criminal. As long as you hand him over, you'll get 100,000 strands of money. This old man will add another 50,000 strands of faith. Mu Zun stared at the 8 beauties and said in a deep voice, Amitabha, this old monk is also willing to offer 50,000 strands. Buddha Zenmi bowed and said, Yu Qingqing's face changed greatly. She quickly looked at the other sisters. This action betrayed her heart and made the 3 experts even more certain that Yi Qinghan was in the sky room. However, Dream Zun didn't find Yi Qinghan after searching the room. He returned to the hall and looked at everyone's expressions. He said, Since the 2 of you are willing to pay 50,000 strands of faith, and with the bounty, that's 200,000 strands of faith. This old man will add another 100,000 strands of faith to make it 300,000 strands of faith. It's enough for you to work hard for a few hundred years. Think carefully. Do you want to hide the wanted criminal or choose the 300,000 strands of faith? The 8 beauties' faces changed, especially Li Qingqing. She stared at the other 7, afraid that they would betray her and Yi Qinghan. The 7 of them didn't say anything. They lowered their heads and didn't dare to look at the 4 experts. Too little? Then this old man will add another 100,000 strands of faith. Now the bounty is 400,000 strands. As long as you say a word, I'll give you 400,000 strands of faith. Dream Zun gritted his teeth and said, At this moment, the immortal poet Tian Yinshi stood out without hesitation. She pointed at the chess saint Gu Yunyun and said, I know. He's in Yunyun's room. Gu Yunyun, Yu Qingqing, and the others were instantly enraged, glaring at Tian Yinshi. At this moment, even Zhang Yingshi's face was filled with anger. He raised the corner of his mouth and sneered, Sure, do you know what this lord hates the most? It's a traitor. You should all know. If I asked you, you would have answered me immediately. I wouldn't blame you. However, you betrayed your sisters for 400,000 strands of faith. The relationship between sisters is not worth 400,000 strands of faith. Even my words are not worth 400,000 strands of faith. You've really disappointed me. The immortal poet was shocked. When she saw Zhang Yingshi's expression, she knew that things weren't going well. She quickly knelt down and begged for mercy, Dojo Master, I didn't want my sisters to harbor a wanted criminal. Furthermore, my sisters didn't know that he was a wanted criminal. They only thought that he was Big Sister's old flame. That's why they committed such a foolish act. I will help you redeem the lives of your clan members for 400,000 strands of faith. I won't be greedy. You can kill yourself. I've already made up my mind. There's no need to say more. Zhang Yingshi said coldly. Zhang Yingshi didn't care if the immortal poet betrayed Yi Qinghan. What he cared about was that she betrayed the feelings of the 12 Golden Flower sisters. His orders couldn't even compare to 400,000 strands of faith. He didn't want such a subordinate. Spare me! Dojo Master, spare me! Bang! The immortal poet begged for mercy. However, Zhang Yingshi waved his hand and pressed on her head. Her entire soul was destroyed, and her physical body and vitality dissipated. She didn't even have the chance to resist before she died. At this moment, Yi Qinghan walked out of the room of the chess saint, Gu Yunyun. He took off his bamboo hat and wore a cold smile on his face. No one could remain unmoved by 400,000 strands of faith. Being betrayed was the most normal thing. Zhang Yingshi was stunned. He didn't expect this man worth 400,000 strands of faith to be so young and so calm. Even in the face of 4 top experts, he was still smiling. That domineering and arrogant temperament burst out from his bones and was definitely not faked. I didn't expect that I, Yi Qinghan, would be worth 400,000 strands of faith. You should have said so earlier. I would have just turned myself in. Why bother to mobilize so many people? Yi Qinghan mocked himself. Revered Dream's face was filled with hostility. He glared at Yi Qinghan and coldly said, Right now, the outside of the Heaven's Chant Mansion is filled with our people. The 3 top experts have gathered. Are you going to bind your hands and feet and come with us? or wait for us to kill you and then take you away? Kid, you dare to kill my bounty hunter. You've got guts. Revered Mu sneered. Ba. Fellow Taoist, your killing intent is too heavy. Let this old monk enlighten you and benefit the common people. Great Buddha Ranmi put his palms together and bowed. His killing intent dissipated and gathered invisibly. I don't care about your hatred, but you can't fight in the Heaven's Chant Mansion. Yi Qinghan, I've already killed the person who betrayed you. My Heaven's Chant Mansion won't participate in your hatred. Zhang Yingshi reminded in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently and waved his hand to disperse the law order around him. He looked at Zhang Yingshi and said, If I die today, I don't care what you want to do with these 7 golden flowers. But if I don't die, you'd better not punish any of them. I, Yi Qinghan, will be very grateful. After saying that, Yi Qinghan gestured with his hand and said, Let's go, 3 lords. Life and death are up to fate. Success and failure are up to the heavens. If I die today, you can report to your superiors. If I escape today, it can only mean that you don't have the ability. Don't bother me anymore. Chapter 1695. Meng Zun waved her hand and took out some treasures to replace the money and gave them to Zhang Yingshi. She then gestured, Please. If you can escape today, I will go and ask for forgiveness from my lord. Mu Zun also waved his hand and took out 50,000 strands of faith and gave them to Zhang Yingshi. Then, Buddha Ranmi also gave the bounty and 50,000 strands of faith to Zhang Yingshi. Seeing this, Yi Qinghan was annoyed and wanted to slap him. Everyone, we surrender. Let us leave? The divine bird lay in Yi Qinghan's arms and said flatteringly, Bastards, you dare to kill bounty hunters like me and you want to escape? There is no place for you in this vast eternal world. Mu Zun coldly reprimanded. You can't blame us. They're like idiots. Their strength is mediocre, but they still came to provoke us. The divine bird hurriedly explained. Evil creature, you still dare to quibble. You slaughtered my temple's Buddhas and 18 arhats. Your crime is unforgivable. Put down your butcher's knife and ask for forgiveness from Buddha Lord. Buddha Ranmi angrily reprimanded. The divine bird shook its head and sighed. Forget it. It's hard to explain to this group of idiots. They can only use their fists to reason with us. Let's go out and fight with them. The 3 experts' faces were flushed with anger. Their killing intent shot out in all directions as they stared at the divine bird. They wished they could crush it with their palms. However, this was the heavenly chant building. If they were to really fight with Yi Qinghan, then this matter would certainly turn the world upside down. Mu Zun and Buddha Ranmi walked in front. Yi Qinghan walked in the middle and Meng Zun walked at the back. The distance between them was about 3 meters. With such a short distance, they didn't even have time to use their divine ability. Even if they wanted to launch a surprise attack, they could only rely on their physical body. In terms of physical body, the 3 of them might not be Yi Qinghan's opponent. The 4 of them walked downstairs. Yi Qinghan calmly walked in the middle. Zhang Yingshi coldly watched them walk down. He then fiercely glared at Yu Qingqing and the rest and coldly said, You guys have guts to hide a wanted criminal. If it wasn't for me, you guys would have been captured by them. Mansion Master, we didn't know that he was Yi Qinghan. Big Sister must have been deceived and brought him to the heaven room. Please calm down. The girls begged. Zhang Yingshi sighed and flicked his sleeves. He walked down the Heaven's Chant Mansion. The Heaven's Chant Mansions. Heaven's Chant Mansion Masters. The 11 Heaven's Chant ladies all followed. Furthermore, the entire Heaven's Chant dojo seemed to have awakened. Dozens of experts' auras were emitted from within. They were all existences above Sector Lord Level 4. Many's Heavens's Heavens you. And S's. There's going to be a good show to watch. The 3 major forces are going up against the most wanted criminal, Yi Qinghan. Hundreds of experts rapidly walked out of the Heaven's Chant Mansion. Some wore bamboo hats while others walked out openly. Those with weak cultivation wouldn't dare to watch the battle. Of those who walked out, which one of them wasn't at the World Lord level? They were either rich or noble. Yi Qinghan was escorted by the three experts all the way to the first floor's main hall. Thousands of experts and countless ladies of the Heaven's Chant Mansion looked at Yi Qinghan. Unexpectedly, not only was Yi Qinghan not shocked, he was even smiling as though he didn't care at all. Yi Qinghan transformed the yin-yang profound record into a divine armor and attached it to his body. He grabbed with his hand and condensed his qi into a blade, forming a heaven-supporting sword. The qi flow was extremely sharp. His aura was filled with ruthlessness and tyranny. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Swan Payan, who was outside the main hall. His lips curled into a cruel sneer. Dong dong dong. Yi Qinghan continued walking out, not looking at the guests of the Heaven's Chant Mansion. So this person is Yi Qinghan. The three major powers wanted him. Sure enough, he is extraordinary. The appearance on the wanted poster isn't as good as what he looks like right now. The portrait on the wanted poster only looks similar, but it's hard to draw out his essence and divinity. He is indeed a dragon among men. He has such a high cultivation at such a young age. Unfortunately, he won't have the chance to leave today. Why did he come to the Heaven's Chant Mansion for no reason? Isn't he courting death? Everyone was discussing curiously. It was rare for the Heaven's Chant Mansion to be so lively. Zhang Yingshi walked out with 11 beauties. Even after sending Yi Qinghan, Dream Sovereign, and the rest out, he was still worried. Outside the gate of the Heaven's Chant Mansion, 18 arhats, for 7-star bounty hunters, and 10 supreme ghost gods. Their aura soared to the sky as they pressed down on the gate. Not to mention the 3 great experts, these 30-plus people were enough to suppress countless experts. They were guarding the gate. When they saw Yi Qinghan being escorted out by the 3 experts, they immediately retreated. 18 arhats formation. Shua shua shua. Xiu xiu xiu. The 18 golden bodies of arhats brandished their staffs and moved in an orderly manner, surrounding Yi Qinghan in the center. Showed at the 10 supreme ghost gods leaped onto the roof. Their divine robes fluttered in the wind, and their black hair danced in the wind, sealing off all paths of escape. Ing ing ing. The 4 7-star bounty hunters unsheathed their swords and formed a third line of defense. These 30-plus people were all peak level 7 or even level 8 experts. Now that they joined forces, even Zhang Yingshi might not be able to win. What? Aren't the 3 of you coming together? Yi Qinghan raised a cold smile and replied with a question. Let's talk about it after we survive. Dream Sovereign reprimanded coldly. Shua shua shua. Mu Zun and Great Buddha Ranmi retreated to the periphery, guarding the 4 directions. Today, even if Yi Qinghan had wings, he wouldn't be able to fly out of Great Buddha City. The people in the surroundings all retreated, not daring to get close to this place. When gods fight, mortals would be the ones to suffer. If they were a group of gods, the others could only be considered as mortals. Even those world overlords didn't dare to resist. Above Heaven Chant Mansion, there were some gazes that were like lightning looking down at the entrance. They could clearly see the battle today. Yi Qinghan slowly walked into the battle circle. He gazed around and said coldly, Old Liang, since you're here, why don't you show yourself? Don't tell me you want to betray me again and ambush me again? Shua, a figure swept across a rooftop and appeared on another rooftop. It was old Liang. At this moment, he was high and mighty with no shame on his face. He replied indifferently, just as you said, sometimes it's necessary to sacrifice some people. You and I don't know each other. By luring you here, I can save the life of Spirit Lady Sect and that girl by Yuran. Why don't I sacrifice you? You understand, and I believe you won't blame me. If it were you, you would have made the same choice as me, right? Ha! Yi Qinghan looked up and laughed wildly. This old Liang was a fast learner. He used his own story to explain it to him. Good. I respect your choice. Does that mean you won't attack later? Yi Qinghan's cold gaze was like a sharp blade as he stared at old Liang. My mission has been completed. They won't dare to play tricks with me. If they can't catch you and threaten me again, I will destroy them first, so that they don't embarrass the Supreme Eternal One. Old Liang replied firmly. Shua. Yi Qinghan raised his saber and stood upright. He took a step forward and his aura rose. He said in a low voice, "Since that's the case, let's fight." Chapter 1696. Then let's fight. His voice was vast and mighty, like the sound of a great bell and drum. With the strength of one person, he challenged the top experts of the three major powers. Before the battle even started, his aura had already erupted, causing the surrounding experts' hair to stand on end. If such an existence were to fight against them, they would win with just his aura alone. Some people sucked in a breath of cold air outside the Heaven's Chant Mansion. Zhang Yingshi couldn't help but look at Lu Qingqing. No wonder she was willing to take the risk to hide Yi Qinghan. Such a man was too domineering, even a woman couldn't refuse his request. He was flexible and was willing to hide in a secret compartment in a woman's bedroom. When he had no choice but to face them, he was unafraid of death and looked death in the eye. Hummed that the chi blade whistled in the wind like a real berserk blade. It was fierce and domineering, causing people to be unwilling to look directly at it. The three major powers are only SOSO. It's too unfair to fight like this. We won't have enough fun watching. Why don't we let this wanted criminal fight with you guys with a real blade? At this moment, a voice came from the top floor of the Heaven's Chant Mansion. The voice was deep and resounding, causing everyone's eardrums to hurt. They couldn't help but look up at the top floor. Who is it? How arrogant to talk to the experts of the three major powers like this. Someone whispered. Although the voice was low, it was no different from speaking loudly in front of so many experts. Mu Zun, Dream Zun, and Buddha Ranmi's eyes flashed coldly. They looked up at the top floor and saw a man wearing a bamboo hat. He was dressed in black, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. He was sitting on the window of a 20-story building. They looked at each other without any fear. What? So many people fighting one person and you don't dare to give him a real blade? The black-clothed man laughed and mocked. Sir, this is a wanted criminal. This isn't a normal challenge, it's an arrest. Where is the fairness in this? Mu Zun coldly snorted. Amitba, this evil beast kills people like a demon. Could it be that you are familiar with him and want to be the enemy of the world? Buddha Ranmi bowed and directly put a big hat on that person's head. The black-clothed man sneered and said disdainfully, "Make an enemy of everyone in the world? You can't represent everyone in the world. You can only represent yourselves. You can't even represent the forces behind you. If you think that I'm your enemy, then so be it. However, I don't think the headquarters of the forces behind you will necessarily be my enemy." Everyone was shocked. There were not many in Eternal World who dared to speak to the experts from the three great forces in such a manner. Excluding the Eternal Ones, there were even fewer. Just who was this person? However, Dream Supremacy shook his head and said, "Since everyone wants to see a good fight, then I'll give Yi Qinghan a long saber. Who has a high-grade divine saber? Lend it to me." No one answered, and no one dared to intervene. The black-clothed man on the rooftop smiled evilly. It was as though he did not mind watching a show. With a wave of his hand, he brought out a golden staff. It was as thick as a child's arm and over 2 meters long. It flew through the air to land before Yi Qinghan, piercing the ground and plunging half of it into the ground. Dark gold staff. It weighs around 50,000 jin and is 2 meters long. A top-grade plane artifact. It contains both defensive and offensive magic arrays. It can increase the user's strength by 30%. "Return it to me when you're done," the black-clothed man said coolly. Yi Qinghan retracted the blades of energy and grasped at the air. The dark gold staff shook rapidly and released a clear whistle. Boom! Yi Qinghan grasped the dark gold rod in his hand and waved it around. The sound of space shattering echoed into the distance. "Good staff. Senior, thank you for the staff," Yi Qinghan said excitedly. "Since I've satisfied your wish, I wonder if you'll continue to interfere in the future?" Dream Zun raised his head and asked. "I don't have that much free time. It's just that I haven't seen experts fight for a long time. Don't worry, I won't do anything. Offending hell is not a good thing," the black-clothed man said with a smile. "Then let's do it. Let's end this quickly. Kill him." Great Buddha Ranmi said coldly. Wait, this is the Heaven's Chant Hotel, and there are civilians everywhere. If you fight here, the losses will be too great. It might even affect the Heaven's Chant Hotel. If you want to fight to your heart's content, then go outside the city. The Buddha's light covers all areas of the Buddha's domain. Domain is the domain. Then come outside the city. I'll go first. This battle must be fought. I don't care who lives and who dies. I'll fight until I'm happy. Whoosh! That black-clothed man directly flew up from the top of the building. Like a rock spreading its wings, he flew high into the sky. His figure flashed and appeared on top of the city gate tower, occupying the highest position. His hands were behind his back, and his aura was like a rainbow. The aura of an expert was much stronger than everyone else. At this moment, Dream Zun, a 9th-level sector lord, Ranmi, Muzun, and Zhang Yingshi, the 3 8th-level sector lord experts, felt a sense of powerlessness spontaneously rising from the bottom of their hearts. Half-step eternal realm? Everyone's eyes widened, feeling a little inconceivable. How could such a person be in the Heaven's Chant Hotel? However, judging from his temperament, he might really be a half-step eternal realm expert. They didn't have much pressure in life, and they lacked stimulation. They couldn't advance to the eternal realm, so they stirred up trouble everywhere. When they saw experts fighting, they insisted on fighting to the death. This kind of person was very terrifying. The appearance of this person might not be a good thing for Yi Qinghan, because if this expert didn't see one side die, he would never stop. With Yi Qinghan's strength, how could he defeat so many people? Shouldn't he find a chance to escape? But if this person didn't agree to let him escape, wouldn't he die? Liang Zhengtai stood on a roof, a cold aura gathering around him, but no one could see his identity. Xiu, 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 Xiu. The 18 arhats and 10 supreme demons rushed out of the city at the same time, followed by Liang Padian and the 3 7-star hunters. The 3 experts forced Yi Qinghan, hinting him to go out of the city. Yi Qinghan carried the dark gold rod and left, forcibly mobilizing the momentum of the world. With every step he took, his momentum increased by 30%. Let's go and watch the show. Place a bet that Yi Qinghan can escape alive. The odds are 1/3000. Who dares to bet? Get lost. Isn't this obvious? Is there a need to bet? I'll bet. At this moment, the divine bird flew out and said arrogantly, Come, 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 this divine bird will be the banker. I bet that my elegant master will be able to escape alive. If he can't escape, the odds are 1/1. If he can escape, the odds are 1/1000. Do you dare to accept? What a joke, who are you trying to fool? Who will pay if your master dies? Everyone jeered. Damn, you're all so smart, how can I fool you? Let's give the money to the owner of the Heaven's Chant Mansion, she'll take care of it. I have 100,000 strands of money here. Come, 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 you're welcome to bet. I won't refuse anyone. The divine bird shouted arrogantly. Damn, this lowly bird is just as the wanted poster said. It's quite good at tricking people. I'll bet. Mosquito meat is still meat. I bet 3,000 strands of faith money, at least 300 strands of money. I'll bet 1,000 strands. 10,000 strands. Yi Qinghan will die without a doubt. Everyone shouted arrogantly. The divine bird took Yi Qinghan's storage ring, which had an estimated 140,000 strands of faith money left. This was Yi Qinghan's life's work. I can't bring it with me when I'm alive, and I can't take it with me when I'm dead. Let's bet. The divine bird asked Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan nodded. In any case, if he died, the money wouldn't be his, so he might as well gamble it away. The divine bird threw the storage ring to Zhang Yingshi of the Heaven's Chant Mansion. The corner of Zhang Yingshi's mouth twitched. He waved his hand to call over some people and said indifferently, Next, record down everyone who placed a bet. We'll take a 10% commission. Chapter 1697. Zhang Yingshi roughly estimated the amount of faith money in the storage ring and announced to the public, there are about 140,000 faith money. If the odds are 1/1, I can accept 4 million faith money. Everyone, go out of the city and place your bets." This time, the atmosphere of the whole city was stirred up. Anyway, it was 140,000 faith money. This was free money, it would be a waste to not take it. Half a day later, the bets on Yi Qinghan's death exceeded 3 million. The divine bird's bet was not enough to cover the loss. "I bet that this little guy can escape. Don't worry, this old man will not do anything. If he dies, he dies. I don't care about money. Losing money is a small matter, but losing face is a big matter. Don't worry, the bigger the bet, the better." Half-step eternal experts wanted excitement. The more exciting it was, the more they liked it. It was almost certain that this person was a half-step eternal expert. There were not many people like him, so he must be a celebrity. However, no one knew who he was. Since the half-step eternal master had promised not to interfere in this matter, everyone was more willing to gamble. Not to mention the 3 great experts, just the 18 arhats, the 10 supreme demons, and the 4 7-star bounty hunters were enough to deal with Yi Qinghan. Once the 3 great experts came out, Yi Qinghan would definitely die. After a while, the bet reached 10 million. Even the 3 great experts had placed a bet of nearly 1 million. If Yi Qinghan died, this half-step eternal sovereign would lose more than 1 million faith coins. Anyone would feel the pinch if they were in his shoes. But the black-robed man was crazy with excitement. So exciting, huh? This old man hasn't been so excited for a long time. The black-robed man danced and shouted at Yi Qinghan, "Boy, if you dare to die, I will let you die without a burial place." Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched and he smiled bitterly, "Do your best." Then, the black-robed man handed over more than 1.3 million faith money to Zhang Yingshi. Although the 11 Blossom Heavenly Chant women wanted Yi Qinghan to live, all 10 of them were betting on Yi Qinghan's death. Furthermore, they were betting more than 10,000 faith coins. On the other hand, Yu Qingxing was betting the opposite, betting 1,000 faith coins on Yi Qinghan's escape. "JJGA!" The divine bird shouted excitedly. If they won, they could win millions of faith money, which was much faster than alchemy. "Master is mighty." With a shake of the tiger's body, he unified the world. The divine bird stood on the city wall and waved its wings, cheering for Yi Qinghan, but refused to come forward to help. Of course, it did not have the ability to help. Of course, it was not as strong as the little golden crow, let alone the colorful snake and the star-entangling vine. In the entire eternal world, it was impossible to find a second divine pet like this. It was so shameless and complacent. Its master was fighting to the death, but it was tricking the world into participating in the bet. Yi Qinghan sneered at himself. This was not the first time this strange divine pet had been so shameless. It would probably be the last time. In the future, he would not be able to see it act so shamelessly. What? Yi Qinghan waved his hand and cancelled the contract with the divine bird. The divine bird was stunned. Yi Qinghan's action meant that he had no hope of survival. He just did not want to drag it down with him. "Master, you have a good journey. Every year at this time, I will burn incense for you, as well as a few beautiful women and some faith money. I will not let you be alone in hell." The divine bird raised its head and roared. It looked very sad, but why did its words make people want to laugh? "Even if I don't die, I will be angered to death by you." Yi Qinghan clenched his teeth and tightened his grip on the dark gold staff. His aura rose to the peak as he walked into the 18 Arhats formation. "This divine bird has been loyal and devoted all my life, protecting my master. Although we are no longer master and servant, I have watched you grow up, protected you as you grew up, and helped you kill countless powerful beings. Unfortunately, I am powerless now. Now, this white-haired divine bird is sending you, this black-haired man, away. The heavens are jealous of geniuses. Master was so good, but he was framed by a group of vile people. He was surrounded and intercepted. His entire life was spent in battles and strategic shifts. He did not have a single good day. Now that I think about it, it is so sad." The divine bird cried bitterly. "Damn it, if I had a divine pet like this, I would have killed it immediately. If it had been someone else who said those words, it would have been very touching. However, when it was said by the divine bird, it made people gnash their teeth in hatred. Yi Qinghan's aura was almost shattered by the divine bird. His aura rushed out of his body and spread in all directions. Dust rose and covered the sky. Bang! Rumble! Yi Qinghan stomped his feet and rushed towards the 18 Arhats formation. His staff tore through space. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Wah wah wah. When the staff and man became one, there was nothing they couldn't destroy. When the speed reached the limit, there was nothing they couldn't destroy. Rumble! Yi Qinghan swept his staff towards the Arhats. The dark gold staff raised his battle strength by 30%. This strike contained 130% of his strength, causing the ground to tremble and dust to rise into the sky. Scram! Rumble! Bang! A strong staff. With the experts working together, the 18 Arhats were like one body. The strength they displayed actually surpassed the peak of Sector Lord Level 8. It was much stronger than the 18 monks that Wanjun Buddha sent into the 9 provinces. 1. The dark gold staff vibrated rapidly, causing the web between the thumb and forefinger to crack. Kacha! The staff in the 18 Arhats' hands was also shaking. The staff that collided with Yi Qinghan was actually broken and bent beyond recognition. Sing sing sing. Yi Qinghan retreated tens of steps. His arms were numb and he almost lost feeling. Rumble! The Arhat formation was shattered. 7 to 8 Arhats fell to the ground. The Arhat that faced Yi Qinghan was smashed until he spat out blood. Subdue dragons and demons, staff sweep the universe. Shwa shwa shwa. Hua! With Buddha Ranmi's order, the Arhat formation instantly changed. It once again exploded with soaring battle intent. The formation seemed to have been reborn. 1. Yi Qinghan's dark gold staff shook, shattering the ground and stabilizing his footing. Dong dong dong. Rumble rumble rumble. Yi Qinghan stepped forward. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he searched for the Arhat formation. As long as he found the eye of the formation, he would be able to shatter their alliance in one strike. The 10 ghost gods stood not far away. The weapons in their hands shone brightly while Swanpadian and the rest guarded the outermost area. The 14 of them were waiting for the sure kill strike. Yi Qinghan not only had to shatter the defenses of the 18 Arhats, but he also had to penetrate the defenses of the 10 ghost gods and the 4 7-star bounty hunters. Only then would he be able to face the 3 ghost gods. If he was careless, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. The most excited person was the man in black. How exciting was a bet of 10 million. The divine bird glared at Yi Qinghan until its eyes were dry. It wanted to help Yi Qinghan escape. Hey, this divine bird wants to discuss something with you. I'll trick those people, but you have to protect me after my master runs away, the divine bird said to the man in black. Why should I? The man in black asked impolitely. You can only make money if my master runs away. 10 million, I can only take a little over 1 million. You're the big head, you pig brain. The divine bird looked at the man in black angrily. It felt that the man in black was unteachable. Kacha. Several experts standing near the man in black almost spurted blood. The man in black clenched his iron fists. A cold light flashed and he almost slapped the divine bird to death. As a half-step eternal sovereign, he had never been scolded in his life. Today, he was scolded by a feathered beast. Swish. Everyone looked at the divine bird as if they were looking at a dead bird. They shook their heads and their eyes were full of ridicule. Only then did the divine bird realize that it had said something wrong. It quickly said flatteringly, "Great supreme expert, this little one said something wrong. You're a half-step eternal sovereign. You're magnanimous. You won't argue with a feathered beast, right?" Chapter 1698. The man in black was rendered speechless by the divine bird's words. If he really argued with it, wouldn't he become a little thing at its level? Scram! The man in black was a man of few words, so he only said one word to the divine bird. The divine bird shrunk its head and could only ask Zhang Yingshi for help. Its face was full of obscenity and flattery as it smiled and said, "Oh, the most beautiful goddess in the world, This divine bird is smart and handsome, a little expert in treasure hunting. I don't eat much, never cause trouble, and I'm loyal and devoted to my master. Do you want a spiritual pet? Your previous master isn't dead yet you want to find a new master. This consort doesn't see any loyalty in you. Zhang Yingshi did not have a good impression of the divine bird. She hated betrayal the most. Seeing the divine bird like this, betrayal was probably a common thing. Flattery did not have the slightest effect, and the divine bird was rebuffed. However, it did not give up. This was a matter of life and death, and it was so thick-skinned that this little trouble would definitely not make it back down. I've been taking care of him since he was young. How could I bear to see him being beaten to death? We relied on each other for survival since we were young. I'm smarter, and he relied on me to survive until now. All these years, I've been both his father and mother, searching for treasures for him, killing strong enemies, and I've been injured all over. The divine bird's mouth was full of nonsense. It sounded pitiful, as if it was about to pour out its heart and lungs. I chose to recognize you as my master not only because I want to save my life, but also because I want to create a chance for my old master to escape. However, they are strong and we are weak. Only you can protect me here. If you are not willing to help, then let us die here. Sob, sob, sob. The divine bird cried pitifully. It was really pitiful when the heavens saw it. Master, this parrot is quite smart. It can be a fun thing to keep it by your side. Why don't you? The flower deity saw how pitiful the divine bird was. She liked flowers, trees, and some spiritual creatures very much. At this moment, she could not help but feel motherly love overflowing. That's right, dojo master. They just want Mr. Ye's life. It's just a parrot. They won't be so ruthless. The rest of the heavenly chant ladies clenched their fists. Knowing that she was in the wrong, Yu Qingqing didn't dare to say anything lest it backfire. Thus, she could only wait for Zhang Yingshi's response. Zhang Yingshi didn't answer the divine bird. Instead, he stared at Yu Qinghan. At this moment, he had turned into lightning and was brandishing the dark gold rod. The rod shattered the shackles and was suppressing the great Arhat formation to the point that it would collapse at any moment. However, there were still so many experts eyeing them covetously. It was almost impossible for them to escape. Zhang Yingshi couldn't help but sigh. Fine. From now on, you will follow Qingqing. Without my order, you are not allowed to leave the Heavens Chant Mansion. When the divine bird heard this, it was immediately overjoyed. Its eyes flashed again as it stared at the battlefield. Yi Qinghan swept through the army like a rolling mat, and his staff was like a long saber. The 18 Arhats formation could only protect itself, and he never gave the 10 supreme demons, Swanpadian, and the other bounty hunters a chance to attack. Boom, boom, swish, swish. Time flew by and Yi Qinghan was about to break the Arhat formation. Impatience flashed in the eyes of the great Buddha Incinerate, Dream Supremacy, and the others. The three experts looked at each other and impatiently waved their hands. Attack together. Kill them on the spot. Swish. The three figures flashed, guarding 3 directions and locking down all directions. Swish. 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 The supreme demons drew their swords. The sword light was like a rainbow as it pierced through the Arhats. The sword chi tore through the void and headed straight for Yi Qinghan. The 10 experts attacked with the 18 Arhats as support. In a split second, the situation changed. Yi Qinghan was forced into a fluster. Swanpadian smiled evilly. With the 7 copper coins in his hand, his aura was even more powerful, emitting a dense killing intent. Huang, no matter how high your cultivation level is, you still can't escape from my grasp. Today, you will die in my hands. Swish. Swish. 7 stars lock the sky. Seal. Swish. 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 Bang. Bang. Yi Qinghan waved his dark metal rod, forming a defensive barrier around him. The 7 copper coins were knocked away one after another. He charged back at the supreme demons with rage in his eyes. Burning 1,000 miles. Swish. Yi Qinghan waved his long rod and struck out a fire dragon. It swallowed the 9 heavens and charged at the experts in front of him. Swish. The fire dragon roared, burning everything. Water overturns mountains and rivers. Swish. Swan Patian grabbed at the void and held 2 water dragons in his hand. He used the 8 trigrams to seal the water dragons and suppressed the fire origin. Ha! Don't you know? The 4 heavenly beasts have merged with me. Your 5 elements Dao body is useless against me. Swan Patian laughed maniacally. With another thought, he controlled the 7 copper coins into the air. Seal his dark metal rod. Let me kill this bastard. Swan Patian roared. Swish. 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 The 18 Arhats swung their long rods at Yi Qinghan at the same time. The dark metal rod roared, and Yi Qinghan was forced to retreat. God-locking chains. Take away his soul. The Dream Sovereign gripped his walking stick and stared coldly at the battlefield, his cold gaze fixed on Yi Qinghan. 10 different colored chains appeared in the hands of the 10 ghost deities. Each of them contained the laws of order and law of order. They sealed off the surroundings and continuously extended, restricting Yi Qinghan to a very small area. 7 stars locked the sky. Seal. Bang. 2 chains locked the 2 ends of the dark metal rod. The other chains locked Yi Qinghan's hands and legs. Bang. 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 The 18 golden rods landed on Yi Qinghan's acupuncture points. Kacha. Yi Qinghan's veins bulged and his eyes almost popped out from the shock of so many attacks. However, his eyes remained fixed on Swan Patian. If he sealed all the major acupoints in his body, then there would be no chance for him to escape. Boom. Yi Qinghan roared. His body expanded like an ancient giant. His strength was several times stronger than before. He forcibly blasted away the 18 Arhats' golden rods. Buzz. The 18 golden rods were sent flying, but the 10 iron chains remained motionless. The 10 supreme demons stood in the distance, their legs rooted to the ground as if they were rooted to the ground. The 10 precepts on the iron chains released a divine glow, suppressing Yi Qinghan's divine power. Rise. Yi Qinghan pulled the 10 supreme demon deities up from the ground with the strength of a mountain. Blood splattered all over the place as he clasped the chains behind his back and swung the demon deities around. However, the 10 supreme demon deities refused to let go no matter what. Bang, bang. The supreme demons lost control and were flung around in the air. Swoosh swoosh. The 18 Arhats and the 3 bounty hunters leaped up and blocked each of the chains. After the chains circled around the golden rod and the divine sword, they fiercely stabbed into the ground. Bang, bang. The chains were connected to the ground. They were all sealed by the golden rods and divine swords. Even though Yi Qinghan's body was peerless, he couldn't fight against so many experts at once. The blood vessels in his arms swelled and roared. Endless power erupted from his body. Countless giant blood cells exploded. But it was too late. Swan Patian controlled the 7 black copper coins to pierce through the void. They formed the Skylock formation and attacked his 7 acupuncture points. Once they were sealed, he wouldn't even have a chance to resist. The spectators were dumbstruck. Lu Qingqing and the other heavenly chant maidens held their breaths as they looked at the battlefield in shock. Yi Qinghan's battle prowess was already very frightening. It was almost impossible for him to create another miracle. Chapter 1699. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the battlefield. When the dust settled, Yi Qinghan was trapped in the center. More than 30 experts were suppressing him, but he was about to break free. Boom boom boom. Crack crack crack. Yi Qinghan fiercely retracted his night metal staff, causing the ground beneath his feet to tremble and crack to appear. Yi Qinghan let out a draconic roar as he held the dark metal rod in front of his chest, protecting his meridians, chest, dantian, and arms. He wanted to prevent Swan Patian from killing him in one blow. Yi Qinghan stared at the 7 copper coins. His eyes shone with a will that could shatter the heavens as he fought with Swan Patian for control of the coins. Buzz buzz buzz. The copper coins were trapped less than a meter in front of Yi Qinghan, but they couldn't advance any further. They were vibrating rapidly in the air. Pull his arm away. Swan Patian roared. Yi Qinghan pulled back his arm and held the dark metal rod in front of his chest. His meridians were blocked, so even if he attacked with all his might, he wouldn't be able to kill him in one blow. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 10 supreme demons climbed up from the ground and grabbed the golden rod in the Arhat's hand. They pulled at the chains with all their might, trying to pull Yi Qinghan's arm back. The chains were straight, destructive, orderly, murderous, radiant. All sorts of laws erupted, suppressing Yi Qinghan. The two sides were in a deadlock. The spectators were so quiet that they could hear their breaths. Holy shit, how strong is Yi Qinghan's body? Even if revered Dream and great Buddha Ranmi work together, they might not be able to win. It might be difficult. Everyone began to discuss. At this moment, Swanpatian was anxious. He couldn't even control his own divine weapon. Meanwhile, the other experts were all tugging at the chains, seemingly intent on tearing Yi Qinghan apart. Yi Qinghan's soul had gathered and was not afraid of the soul-locking iron chains. He allowed the soul-locking iron chains to tear at his soul. However, his soul had already become one with nature. Even if it could be destroyed, it would not be the turn of this group of people. His soul has already reached the Great Circle. It's not realistic to rely on the soul-locking iron chain. Dream Sovereign saw the truth and said in a deep voice, "Do the three of us really have to take action?" Mu Zun frowned. If they wanted to kill Yi Qinghan at this moment, any one of the three would be able to do it. However, they couldn't afford to lose face. More than 30 super experts had joined forces, and yet they still couldn't do anything to Yi Qinghan. Wouldn't it be a joke for the world if these top experts of the older generation were to take action as well? Amitabha, Buddha said that if I don't go to hell, who will? In order to purify this evil creature, I will bear the infamy of the world. Buddha Ranmye suddenly said loudly. His voice resounded through the clouds. He took a light step forward and the wind and clouds changed. Clearly, this old monk was about to take action. Yu Qingxing was shocked. She waved her hand, wanting to take out a divine zither to help Yi Qinghan. However, she was firmly held down by Zhang Yingshi. If any of you dare to act recklessly today, I will expel you from the Heaven Chant Dojo. Let them kill you on the spot. Zhang Yingshi said coldly. The black-robed man did not move. Yi Qinghan's life or death, to him, was just a win or loss of 1,000,000 coins. It was not a big deal. In any case, the stimulation had passed and there was no more chance. He shook his head and said, "None of you are allowed to interfere. Life or death is up to fate. Success or failure is up to the heavens." He caused me to lose more than 1,000,000 faith coins. Even Yu Qingxing did not dare to make a move. The others had bet heavily that Yi Qinghan would die. At this moment, they were even more excited. Many of them had won at least a few hundred strands of faith coins. Dream Sovereign and the others had won at least 100,000 strands of faith coins. The Dream Supremacy had a smile on his face as he stared deeply at Yi Qinghan, as if he was looking at a dead man. Great Buddha Ranmi personally stepped forward and formed a seal with his hands. The Buddha seal left his body. At this moment he was gathering Buddhist energy and preparing to kill in one blow. Yi Qinghan felt a strong killing intent. The veins all over his body bulged and his blood boiled. It was as if 10,000 horses were galloping. The mighty dragon aura rushed into the 9 heavens. Roared a dragon roar came out of Yi Qinghan's mouth. His aura rushed to the 8 desolates. Dragon transformation. Roar! Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the iron chains were fought over again. The weapons in the hands of the 18 Arhats and the 3 7-star bounty hunters were broken and left the ground. Boom! Yi Qinghan stomped his feet and transformed into a dragon that soared into the 9 heavens. Swoosh! The record of yin-yang rushed out of his body and shot out rays of divine light that enveloped the battlefield. Countless profound rune weapons scattered and the heaven and earth melody was solemn and mighty, causing the blood of the heroes to surge. Since you want to play, I'll play with you to the end. The divine dragon's eyes looked down on the earth and shot out a sky-splitting will. The huge spiritual consciousness evolved into Yi Qinghan's appearance. He stood on the dragon's head and waved his flaming battle robe. The robe fluttered in the wind and burned the void. Heaven and Earth, Yin and Yang law enforcement. 1 controls heaven and earth, 2 controls yin and yang, and 3 controls everything. Yi Qinghan activated the record of yin-yang and spun it rapidly in the air. The divine light enveloped the battlefield and countless people outside the city. With my life, I control reincarnation. Yin and yang as one, the land of light will be my domain. Yi Qinghan danced on the dragon's body. His palms formed the 8 trigrams and yin and yang, crazily gathering the celestial spiritual energy in the world. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan swallowed the blood-colored plant in his body. There was still more than half of it left, and it contained an unknown amount of celestial spiritual energy. At this moment, it was as if a flood had broken through a dam and surged in Yi Qinghan's body. The aura surged and rushed to his limbs and bones. Roar! Yi Qinghan looked to the sky and roared. His anger burned the sky. Not good, he is using the forbidden technique of the yin-yang Xian race, the yin-yang reincarnation. The land covered by the light will be his domain. There is no way to resist it. Swanpatian shouted in horror. He was the clearest about the yin-yang race. Do it, don't give him a chance. Dream Lord held his walking stick and rushed to the sky. The walking stick was like a sword and attacked the giant dragon's hand. Whoosh! Muzun pulled out his sword and cut through the order. He temporarily rose into the sky and his sword was like a rainbow. The sword flower was like a lotus. Boom! The great Buddha palm tore through the sky and smashed against the giant dragon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Boom, boom, boom. 10 chains of laws soared into the sky and locked onto the giant dragon's neck, tail, and waist. They wanted to pull Yi Qinghan back to the ground. Whoosh! 7 stars lock the sky, seal the heaven and earth. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Swanpatian stomped the ground and 7 copper coins flew out of his hand towards the giant dragon. The 18 arhats helped the 10 supreme demons pull the chains. Roar! Boom! The dragon swung its tail, shattering the order and breaking the chains of laws. The dragon roared and the energy spread in all directions. The 7 black copper coins buzzed and couldn't move forward. Yin-yang reincarnation. A divine light flashed and the entire battlefield became a domain. The yin-yang reincarnation appeared out of nowhere and expanded like a crack. It rushed towards Dream Lord and the others. I have cultivated the reincarnation Tao for 100 eras. It is not your turn to come to the city wall. Boom! A beam of light shot out from the Dream Master's walking stick and pointed at the crack in the yin-yang reincarnation, forcefully sealing it. He wanted to destroy Yi Qinghan's forbidden technique before it was ready. Chapter 1700. Yi Qinghan's forbidden technique was blocked by Dream Sovereign the moment it was unleashed. However, it was like an arrow on a bow. How could it be blocked when it was already shot out? The tearing force of the crack grew stronger and stronger. It was like a sharp arrow tearing through the Dream Supremacy's defensive aura. She hadn't been able to unleash her full power for long, so she couldn't defend herself against Yi Qinghan's attack. Help me block this attack. Dream Sovereign roared with all her strength. Boom! Buddha Ranmi's palm landed on the divine light and was blocked by the record of yin-yang. It did not have any effect at all. At this moment, the 18 arhats, the 10 supreme fiend gods, Swanpatian, and the other bounty hunters were all trying their best to hold on to the soul-locking chains. Dozens of them were actually unable to withstand Yi Qinghan's instant burst of forbidden technique. Whoosh! Muzun's palm landed on Dream Sovereign's back. Endless divine power flowed into Dream Sovereign's body and provided her with divine power. Amitba! Buddha Ranmi clasped his palms together and a giant Buddha appeared behind him. He was chanting Sanskrit chants and waves of Buddha seals were aimed at Yi Qinghan's attack. The Sanskrit chants were mighty and resounded throughout the heavenly river. The forbidden technique was showing signs of collapsing. The man in black suddenly became excited. He thought that he would lose his 1 million faith coins just like that. He did not expect to have another chance. Interesting. At this moment, Zhang Yingshi's eyes flashed as he focused all his attention on Yi Qinghan. He didn't know if Yi Qinghan could create a miracle and escape from the joint attack of the 3 forces. Because he didn't know, He couldn't help but turn to look at the divine bird. However, the divine bird had already left the battlefield. Where is that stupid bird? Zhang Yingshi frowned. With her cultivation, she did not even know when the divine bird left. The 11 heavenly chant ladies shook their heads in confusion because they were all staring at Yi Qinghan in shock. That bastard, looks like he's running away. He doesn't even want the faith money. He probably knows that Yi Qinghan is going to lose. With such a divine pet, even if the master isn't killed, he'll be angered to death. Zhang Yingshi snorted. At this moment, the ones who were even more nervous were the outsiders who had placed heavy bets. Some of them had placed thousands of faith coins, while others had placed tens of thousands of faith coins. Some had even placed hundreds of thousands of faith coins. If Yi Qinghan were to escape, they would go bankrupt. Motherfucker, hurry up and die if you want to. What are you struggling for? Exactly. Now, my heart is in suspense. That's 3,000 strands of faith money. If he escapes, I will have to sleep on the streets tomorrow. Fuck off, what's a few thousand strands of wealth? My life's work has been accumulating for millions of years, and now I only have 30,000 strands of faith money left. If I bet it all on him, I'll have 3,000 strands of faith money. He must die. Everyone looked at each other coldly and angrily rebuked each other. Dojo Master Zhang, can I still place a bet now? I bet 100 strands of faith money that Yi Qinghan can escape. At this moment, a thin man with pointy ears and monkey-like cheeks came over with a wretched face. He held 10 strands of faith money and asked flatteringly. Fuck off. This bastard only knows how to bet on dark horses. He has lost all his fortune over the years and is still acting recklessly. A burly man flew into a rage out of humiliation and angrily rebuked. He is famous for losing every bet he makes. With him betting, won't Yi Qinghan be dead for sure? Another young man was wild with joy and laughed. It seemed that he had bet a lot on Yi Qinghan's death. Most of the people had mocking faces as they angrily rebuked the thin monkey-like man. However, Zhang Yingshi didn't mock or ridicule him. He waved his hand to the recording woman behind him and said, "The outcome hasn't been decided yet. You can accept it. 100 strands of faith money bet that Yi Qinghan can escape. The odds are 1 to 3,000. If Yi Qinghan escapes, he will get 30,000 strands of faith money." The thin monkey-like man was different from the black-robed man and the divine bird. The divine bird and the black-robed man were the bankers, while the thin monkey-like man was betting on Yi Qinghan's victory. However, the stakes were so small that they were negligible. The skinny monkey-like man grinned wickedly. He rubbed his hands together and took the betting cards. He looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly and muttered, "Kid, you must win. If you win this round, I'll have won back all that I've lost." The black-robed man turned to stare at the thin monkey-like man and asked coldly, "Are you sure to lose every bet you make?" "Ahem," replying to the master, "for the time being, I haven't won yet." The thin monkey-like man grinned and said humbly, "Oh, if he dies this time, it's all because of you unlucky bastard that I lost more than 1,000,000 strands of faith money. I will kill you too. If he wins, it means that you have good luck and helped me win more than 10 million strands of faith money. I will reward you with 100,000 strands of faith money. You better pray to the heavens." The black-robed man said coldly. Half-step eternal realm experts were so domineering and unreasonable. The thin monkey-like man was dumbfounded. He had just placed an unpopular bet. Did he have to pay with his life? "Master Zhang, I don't want to bet anymore. Can I withdraw my bet?" The thin monkey-like man wanted to cry but had no tears. He was simply desperate. He just wanted to win big with a small bet. He didn't want to die. "No." Zhang Yingshi coldly refused, expressionless. At this moment, Yi Qinghan swallowed dozens of pills at the same time. His body exploded, and his chi soared into the sky. Boom! Yi Qinghan was like a star exploding. The shockwave rushed out of the city and hit the city wall. The city's defensive array was activated. The city shook, and the wall almost collapsed. Boom! Bang! Bang bang bang! Dream Sovereign and the others were shaken off. The 18 Arhats and supreme demons were all sent flying. The ground under their feet was shattered into powder. Their faces were pale. More than 10 experts coughed out blood. The people outside were almost shattered. Their pupils shrank, and they looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. Yi Qinghan roared, and his voice turned into a dragon's roar. He used the dragon's tail flick, sweeping away thousands of troops and smashing through their prison. However, after this move, Yi Qinghan's strength was almost exhausted. Although it was just a move, his strength had been completely unleashed. The lethality was more than 10 times stronger than before. If Dream Senior were to fight him alone, this attack would definitely be able to severely injure her. Universe-sweeping staff. Whoosh! A golden light flashed, like a blade cutting through the void, and smashed towards the experts again. Boom! At this moment, Buddha Ranmi rose into the air. The Buddhist staff in his hand shone with Buddhist light. A huge Buddha statue appeared behind his body. At the same time, he held the staff and swung it towards Yi Qinghan. Bang! The dark gold staff and the Buddhist staff collided, creating another shockwave. The ground shook, the stars changed color, and the sky was covered by dark clouds. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Yi Qinghan's palm was crushed, and the internal organs of Buddha Ranmi were almost crushed. He coughed out blood and retreated. However, because of this attack, the Dream Supreme stepped forward with his walking stick. It was as if he was walking in the air. From his walking stick, he pulled out a godly weapon that could tear apart everything. The weapon was so cold that it made people's scalps tingle. Yi Qinghan, since my master wants your life, you definitely won't be able to live. That roared out whoosh. Dream Sovereign looked old and weak, but once she pulled out her sword, it was as if the sword would not return. It would not return until it killed someone. Her aura was majestic and mighty, and the sky was forced to give way. Yi Qinghan stood on the ground. His battle robe was stained with blood, and the fire burned. He was burning his life force to fight. No wonder he was so crazy to fight against more than 30 experts. At this moment, his eyes were as sharp as lightning. He stared at Dream Sovereign's killing move. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. It was unknown whether he was seeking death or survival. Chapter 1701. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes. To outsiders, it looked like he had given up. Most of the people cheered. Skinny Monkey was crying. Others gambled, but he gambled with his life. Don't give up. You're the most handsome and domineering man I've ever seen. If you want to die, son of a bitch, I'll look down on you. Skinny Monkey shrieked. His voice was shrill as if he was being gang raped. The man in black waved his hand, gathering energy to form a blade. He wanted to kill Skinny Monkey. He was a man of his word. If Yi Qinghan lost, Skinny Monkey would die. But at this moment, Yi Qinghan raised his dark metal rod slightly. His aura increased greatly. The surrounding spiritual energy formed a torrent that could be seen clearly with the naked eye. What? Yi Qinghan waved his divine robes. The flames stung his eyes. His toes slid, drawing the yin-yang 8 trigrams on the ground. The yin-yang record turned into a divine armor that protected his body. The runes turned into armor that protected his acupuncture points. Yi Qinghan held the dark metal rod with both hands. His eyes were still closed, but within a radius of 10,000 meters, no one could escape from his divine sense. Dream Supremacy rushed forward with his sword. His sword was filled with the intent to kill. Boom! Yi Qinghan swept his rod horizontally. He took the initiative to meet the attack. Thousands of rod shadows were formed, like thunder, majestic and majestic. Hummed at the sword energy crashed into the dark metal rod. It crashed into Yi Qinghan, but it did not stop him. Ka-ka-ka. The ground beneath Yi Qinghan's feet crumbled. He twisted his waist, and the rod struck the divine sword. The divine sword was bent by the rod. It trembled and whistled. The sound of the sword was deafening. Those standing outside spat out blood and retreated. Die! Dream Supremacy was enraged. His withered arm shook, and the divine sword bounced up. It shot forward like a rainbow, pushing Yi Qinghan back. The sword energy was even more ferocious. It blocked the dark metal rod and sent Yi Qinghan flying. Yi Qinghan flew backwards as Dream Supremacy rushed forward, forcing him to retreat. Fortunately, the night metal staff's grade was too high, and the divine sword was unable to destroy it. It only left a scratch on its surface. Yi Qinghan's starry eyes and Dream Supremacy's turbid, black hole-like eyes stared at each other with a strong murderous intent. "You're dead," the Dream Elder scolded. "We'll talk when you're stepping on my dead body." Yi Qinghan stomped on the ground and stabilized himself. His voice had become extremely low and hoarse, and he was extremely exhausted. In the short time it took for an incense stick to burn, he had exhausted all of his divine power. At this moment, he was relying entirely on his physical body. In today's battle, he had successfully increased his combat strength by 10 times at the cost of burning his life force. Otherwise, he would have been killed by this group of people long ago. Although this battle was a glorious defeat, the price of glory was the exhaustion of life. Even if he was not killed by them, he did not have much time left. Ding! Bush! Yi Qinghan suddenly leaned to the side and swept his long leg, kicking towards Dream Supremacy's head. Dream Supremacy's sword momentum shifted, and her body lost control. Her head actually rushed towards Yi Qinghan's leg. Dream Supremacy was shocked and had no choice but to block with her hands. Boom! Gotcha! Yi Qinghan's leg was as fast as lightning, enough to split mountains and split rocks. It landed on Dream Supremacy's elbow joint, shattering her aged bones. Her wrist hit her head. Dream Supremacy screamed in agony. Her bones were shattered, and the force of the blow to her head was enough to make her dizzy. At this moment, her body was like a kite with a broken string, smashing into the ground. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 10 supreme demons rushed towards Dream Supremacy. The red-clothed demon caught her, but the impact made her unable to stand firm. She was also sent flying. Boom! Thud thud thud. The remaining 9 supreme demons continued to hold onto the red-clothed demon. They stepped on the ground continuously, and only managed to stand firm after taking 100 steps back. Yi Qinghan fell from mid-air, his dark gold rod smashing into the ground. He knelt on one knee, his black hair dancing in the wind. He was bleeding from his 7 orifices, and the last of his divine power was exhausted. He was only left with brute force. Boom! The shockwave swept up a cloud of dust, and it took a while for it to dissipate. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan and could not help but gasp. This guy can really take a beating. He's still alive after so long. My heart is in a mess, and I'm afraid he'll run away. A young man without any self-control said what everyone was thinking. However, Muzun and Buddha Ranmi were not nervous at all. If Yi Qinghan could run away, then there was no need to continue fighting, and they would not put him on the wanted list in the future. Amitabha, benefactor, your murderous nature is too strong. If we don't purify your evil nature, you will bring disaster to the world. Buddha Ranmi said with a pitiful expression. Get lost, you bastard. You're just a beast in human clothing. What do you mean by pitiful? The so-called Buddha is merciful. Look at your fierce face, and the murderous aura on your body is not as strong as mine. Only you know how many people you've killed. Although the Buddha's will is good, it is controlled by a group of beasts. It is only a tool to bring disaster to the world. Yi Qinghan stood up with the dark gold rod in his hand and sneered. Benefactor, your cultivation is not easy. Why are you so stubborn? Buddha Ranmi pretended to be sad and shook his head regretfully. Why are you wasting words with him? Just kill him and hand his soul to hell. Hang his corpse on the great Buddhist city as a warning to others. Muzun said coldly. This trash doesn't need the 2 high sovereigns to take action. I will do it for you. Swan Patian arrogantly stepped forward with 7 black coins in his hand. His momentum soared to the sky. Yi Qinghan looked at Swan Patian with disdain and mocked with a hoarse voice. Trash, you think you can kill me now? Even if I don't have any divine power, killing you is as easy as waving my hand. Is that so? Then let the world see who will be the final winner. Swan Patian cruelly smiled and glared at Yi Qinghan with resentment. The coins in his hands suddenly shot out with an irresistible force towards Yi Qinghan's 7 major meridians. Bang! Bang! Yi Qinghan swung the dark gold rod as fast as lightning and struck the coins away at almost the same time. However, his body didn't move at all. Swanpatian was furious. Although Yi Qinghan's divine power was exhausted, he couldn't win by much. Moreover, Yi Qinghan was still burning his life force. How could it be so easy to kill him? Trash will always be trash. You'll never be able to cause any waves. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a disdainful sneer. Go away. Let me kill him. Mu Zun sternly reprimanded. I can kill him. Swanpatian was so angry that his eyes were blinded by rage. He ignored the danger and personally charged towards Yi Qinghan. I've been waiting for this moment. If I don't kill you, I'll be letting down the countless creatures of the chaos state and the trillions of citizens of the great desolate state. Yi Qinghan angrily roared. At the same time, countless vines rushed out from his body. The start-whining vines rushed out as fast as lightning and bound Swanpatian's arms, legs, and head at the same time. He couldn't break free in a short time. That, even if I die today, you'll die before me. Yi Qinghan violently attacked and swung his rod at Swanpatian's head. Swanpatian screamed in horror. He was so desperate that he couldn't even muster a trace of strength to break free from the vines. Boom! Yi Qinghan's roll contained a brute force capable of destroying heaven and earth. It was as if he had violently slashed through the void. Who could contend against him? Bang! Ah! The dark gold rod smashed into Swanpatian's head and forcefully shattered his body. Swanpatian's soul let out a mournful scream as it was instantly annihilated. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.